So Steve Cropper. We'll talk a little crypto here in the beginning, but in about 15 minutes, I'm going to have an Airbnb investing expert come on here. He's going to share all his secrets because listen, crypto is in a bear market right now. At the heart of everything, we're investors, right? And so I'm trying to give us more and more exposure to more and more ideas to, in reality, in my opinion, creating passive cash flow for ourselves. To me, that's how you actually become financially free, is passive income. Because when you can get up every day and you don't have to work and you have income just coming in passively, that's when you're actually financially free. So crypto makes us some really good money, and with DeFi and stuff like that, we can create passive income vehicles for ourselves. But I've met a guy named Mike Elefante, and he's done really well with exclusively Airbnb properties. He started from nothing just a couple years ago, and he's completely financially free now. He wasn't before, but he is now. And I was like, man, if you could come on and teach, share your knowledge, your secrets, your expertise with my audience, that'd be fantastic. And so I talked him into coming on. He'll be coming on here in about 10-15 minutes, but I wanted to chat a little crypto first. What kind of questions you got? By the way, tap those likes. Let's get it up to 100. Let's get it up to 100 likes real quick. Go ahead and smash that thing. What crypto questions you guys got at the moment? We're going to have the Airbnb expert coming on in about 10-15 minutes, but let's chat a little crypto ahead of time to get that out of our system, right? So we had a nice little spike up today, right? It went up what, maybe 5%? So that's nice. That's nice to see that. Ask any question. You got any projects you guys been hearing about that you're really interested in? Let's hear it. Let's hear them. But stick around. Again, the Airbnb expert is going to be on here in about 10 minutes. I'm going to bring him on, interview him, and not drill him, you know what I mean, and get all his secrets out, and he's very willing to share. And again, creating passive income. Passive income streams is the real way to have financial freedom, because then you don't got to work. You get up every day and you got money coming in from passive income sources. And when I heard how much he's making from these regular Airbnbs, blew my mind. Blew my mind. I mean, he's like buying a property and paying it off within a year and having profit above that. Not that he's paying it off. He could be, but he's keeping a lot of it for profit too. But he buys a property and he's making more in a year than the property cost him. That's got to excite you. So stay on here. He's going to be on here in a little bit. Ask some quick crypto questions. Let's see what's going on. Any projects you guys been hearing about? By the way, if you guys could hit those likes, get that up to 100 for me. I'd really appreciate that. Go ahead and smash that thing. Let's see some likes flying in. Axelar, what out say? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're saying, Johnny Bet. By the way, if you're on here, stay around, because we're going to have an Airbnb expert coming on in about 10 minutes. And if you're interested in financial freedom, true financial freedom, passive income is the way to do it. See, you guys put us over 100 likes. You're awesome. Thank you. Be sure to stay on here. He's going to be coming on in about 10 minutes. ISO 2022 is going to be huge. I'm not sure what that is either. Axelar. You said about it. You sure I said Axelar? Because I'm not sure what that is. Axelar. But you guys been hearing about any other? I own a crap load of crypto. I've been in crypto since 2017. I've made plenty of mistakes. Plenty of mistakes. I'm not infallible. Nobody is. If you think anyone's walking around perfect, absolutely not, right? We take our lumps just like everybody else. But again, stay on this stream. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to have an Airbnb expert on here, and it's amazing what he's been able to do, starting at zero just a couple years ago. And now he's completely financially free, just has a few regular houses, and most of these houses, he bought them, and then within a year, he made more from those houses on Airbnb than the whole house cost. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Buying a property, and you make more money than you paid for that property in just a year. I'm excited. I'm super excited to hear what he's going to be talking about. Ever hear about XRP? I have plenty of XRP. I definitely know about XRP. That is for dang sure. That's, to me, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP are the three main things I accumulate. Yeah, Philly, you talking about the Airbnb expert with the woe? Yeah, for real. Like, he's making thousands of dollars a month from each property. And they're just regular properties. And he's saying there's a bunch of ways to get involved in Airbnb and create income for yourself without even actually owning a property. So I'm just interested. I'm so excited to hear what he's going to be talking about. So stay on this stream. It's going to be very valuable. By the way, again, I said it before, but it's really nice that we saw some tick up in the crypto market today. Although, don't get too excited. I don't think we're going to the moon or anything right now, but I'm leaning that we are, like, when we say bear market, we're definitely in a bear market, but are we in crypto winter? That's the real question. I don't know yet. I have a girl doing Airbnb down here, and the area is a dump. I wouldn't even live there if you pay. So Mike is also going to share with us, how to find the right property, how to evaluate properties, how to get them, how to maximize profit from them. It's going to be so valuable. Stay on here. Stay on this stream. He's going to be on in less than 10 minutes now. I'm just waiting for him to send a guest request. By the way, Wolf of Philly, your girl's doing Airbnb. I know you're saying the area is a dump. Is she making profit? Again, for anyone just coming in, we're going to be having an Airbnb expert coming on in less than 10 minutes. You're not going to want to miss it. You stay, because this is a live stream, right? I can't post this on TikTok. You got to be on here. And he charges $400 for a 30-minute consultation, right? We're going to get everything out of him we can. So stay on here. You're going to get your value. Stay on this stream. She's doing great. And you're telling me that's in a dumpy area. That's right, Baldwin. Let's go, buddy. Smash some likes. Let's see if we can get it over 200. I just love to see those hearts coming in. It makes me feel good, warm, and fuzzy inside. Because straight up, I'm full-time, all-time, forever crypto. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing I'd invest in, right? Baldwin, what's up, buddy? Thank you. Real estate and crypto to me they have to be the two best investments on the planet. They just have to be. So I'm in traditional rentals, where you do 1-year leases and stuff like that. You make profit from that, but it's a slower game. When I saw how much Airbnb people are making, they are making 10 times as much as your traditional landlords. It's mind-blowing. Again, Mike, I think every property he's gotten, because he's only been doing this for 2 years, I think every property he's gotten, almost every one of them, I'm not sure, but he's literally bought the properties, and within 12 months, he made more money from the property than it cost. Would that change your life if you could do that? And he'll tell you he's not special. He truly believes anybody can do this. And he's not buying fancy houses. He's buying just regular houses. It shocks me. Shocks me. And I can't wait to talk with him. So stay on the stream. You're gonna be very, very glad you did. He's even going to tell us how to make profit on Airbnb without even owning a property, which I don't know how the heck you do that, but I'm interested to find out all that stuff. How do I like Shiba? You know what? Shiba's warmed up to me a lot because I see Shiba actually building things, and they have the community. Unlike Doge. Doge isn't building anything that I know of. So Doge to me is kind of dead, but Shiba, that's interesting. That actually interests me. But, Shiba's market cap is still really big, so it's just a top 20 coin? So, the gains, there's risk and reward to it. Think XRP would hit 100? No, that would, because when you look at market cap, that would make the entire market cap of XRP what would that make it? $30 trillion? So no. I mean, maybe one day, but that's a long ways away. And I think eventually it's possible because of what it does. XRP could technically become the #1 market cap, overtaking Ethereum and Bitcoin eventually. Will that happen? I don't know. But if it did happen, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I never saw that ever possible. Like, I could see that happening because of what it does. Because it is global settlement. It is transferring literally trillions, quadrillions of dollars around the world a year is what it could potentially be doing. Yeah, quad, the Q, baby. Again, Mike, the Airbnb expert, should be on here in just a few minutes. Stay on the stream. You're not going to want to miss this. The guy charges like $400 for like a 30-minute consultation. And we're gonna have him on here for probably at least an hour. And I'm going to ask him everything. So you're going to want to hear this. Passive income is what financial freedom is. Just because you got money in the bank doesn't mean you're financially free. When you have assets that pay you passive income that pay for and above your monthly expenses for your living, that's when you're financially free. And real estate, that's the way people have been doing it for, I don't know, ever. The richest people in the world, many of them got there because of real estate. And the things Mike's doing with his properties, I'm so excited to talk with him. And we're very fortunate that he's going to be coming on here. So stay on this stream because it's live, right? I don't publish this on TikTok. This is where you're going to see it now, live. That's it. Algo to 25. What's Algo at now? Maybe $1.50. I can see, yeah, maybe, but that's a ways away. Like I think those type of numbers are like next bull market, like 2025. Again, the Bitcoin halvening is going to be in about March 2024. So that's when the amount of Bitcoin that can be mined per day gets cut in half. Currently, we're at 900 Bitcoin mined per day. When we get to March 2024, it's going to go down to 450 a day. Massive supply shock built into Bitcoin. That's why these bull runs happen, because people get crazy about it. But, overall, you guys got any other questions? Any good projects you all have heard of? You have Airbnb, but not that Biz? Bucci, what do you mean? I mean, do you have like an Airbnb property? And then what do you mean by not that biz? Because I mean, to me, like if you have an Airbnb property, that's a business. It's an income producing asset. Yeah, Mike should be coming on any minute now. But he's a busy guy. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you. Hey, what's up, ATM? What's up, Nancy? We're going to be having an Airbnb expert on here very, very shortly. Passive income is the key to financial freedom. And income-producing assets, such as an Airbnb property, will free you from financial constraints. No more jobs. What's up, Jamie? And so I'm very, very excited to have Mike on here. And I have some good questions written down for him. We're gonna get some good info today. Because crypto markets have been sideways, trending, leaning down. So it's a good time to take a breather and learn about other investment vehicles, because we don't have to be all or nothing. In my opinion, always invest in crypto. In my opinion. But that doesn't mean you can't invest in other things. And real estate would be right there, right? Especially if it's an income producing asset. That's be sure to stay on this stream. He's going to be on here very soon, and you're not going to want to miss this, right? He charges a good amount of money just for a consult. So we're getting all this for free, so stay on here. NFT horses, you mean like Zed Run or D-Race, stuff like that? That's very interesting. Those are very interesting. I would like to get involved in those. One of the biggest things I'm looking at in this bear market are gaming NFTs. If that's a horse to race with, that's a gaming NFT. I would be interested in that. Again, I look at them, but it's important to look at these gaming NFTs as income producing assets that would be the top priority. but they could also be and or be ones that go up in value, right? So it's like buying a property and getting cash flow, people paying you rent or Airbnb vacation rental rent all the time, and then what was that up there? And then the value of the property going up. So that's the ideal situation with a gaming NFT or any NFT. But a gaming NFT, if you can use it in some way, like I really like Mirandus. It's made by Gala Games. I really like what they're going to be doing with that, because you could own like a dock, because there's only so many docks in the whole world of Mirandus. And this dock, ships have to use it. And ships get used a ton because they go out to quest and people go gather coins and other valuable things and NFTs and go on adventures. And that's big part of how they play the game. So, but the docks, they got to use the docks to leave land and come back to land. So if I own a dock, there's only so many docks in Mirandus. So while I'm sleeping, my dock's getting used, and every time they use that dock, they have to pay a little fee. And I'm just collecting income, passive income. That's why I'm excited about metaverse and gaming NFTs. Metaverse, as most people think of it, is quite a ways away. The first iteration, the first real mainstream iteration, is going to be gaming, right? Because Fortnite, World of Warcraft, these things, those are basically metaverses anyways. Bored Ace is getting into the metaverse space and creating a token. Yes, I did see that. I don't know the exact details, but I did see that, and that just has got to keep you bullish on Bored Apes. I also saw that they acquired CryptoPunks, and then immediately gave all the commercial rights to the people that own the actual CryptoPunks, which Yuga Labs, right? Yuga Labs is by far the main NFT company there is right now. I mean, what a move. Engine launched a Polkadot parachain. That's another thing, is I'm really big on layer zeros like Polkadot and Cosmos Atom. Those are the two big layer zeros, because you can build a whole chain on top of those, not just a dApp. You can build a whole chain like, what is it? Like Terra Luna is built on Cosmos. The layer 1 Terra Luna, it is built on Cosmos, the layer 0. And plenty of other ones. I think Binance Smart Chain is built on top of a layer 0 also. I thought it was Cosmos, but I'm not so sure about that. Do I think Shiba will join Robinhood? Let me tell you something. I am so not interested in Robinhood, because when you buy on I just don't trust them. That's it. I just don't trust them. Not that I got trust flying around everywhere, but I really don't trust them. I really don't trust the stock game companies. And plus, in the current way, I don't know if they're going to change it or what, but when you buy crypto on Robinhood, you don't actually own the crypto. Like, you can't transfer any of it anywhere, because you just own this thing that represents crypto, but you don't actually own it. So I don't like that. And it's very centralized. And I don't trust Robinhood to care. It has a history of not taking its consumer side because of where its actual money comes from a lot of market makers like Citadel, which are certainly, those are not us. those are wow. Baldy, you know about Robinhood? Yeah, I know. I mean, at one point I didn't either, but when I learned that, I was like, whoa. Like, I think I have like a share of Apple stock, a share of Waste Management, and a share of like Beyond Meat, whatever. I think that's all I have for stocks. I had almost nothing. And the reason I bought Waste Management and Apple is because, they have dividends, and people are always going to need Waste Management, and Apple is Apple. So, but I don't care about stocks, really. So Mike should be coming on here any minute. Looks like he's just a little late. I told him to come on around noon, and I was going to hop on here a little earlier so we can get some crypto out of our system. But stay on here. He's going to be coming on. Let me message him real quick. I'll be right back. But it's been nice to see a little green today in the crypto markets, right? The other day, 2 days ago, I bought some Ethereum, because if you guys saw my video I put up today on TikTok, 3 crypto bear market strategies that I'm implementing. One of them is accumulating blue chips as incrementally as the price goes down, and this is just a really good buy zone. It's not like, all right, all in on Ethereum right now. It's like, okay, this is a good buy price. It's been holding here. I'm gonna buy some. If it goes down lower, like goes under 2,000, my next buy spot is probably if it goes under 2,000. Then I'll buy some more. And then after that, probably if it goes under 1,500, I'll buy some more. And if it goes under 1,000, I'm gonna back up the truck. I'm gonna back up the truck, and that's when I'm gonna go all in. If it goes under a G, that's when I'm going all in. Not financial advice. Just my opinion. This is what I'm doing. And another one, a second strategy, was getting interest on my stable coins. So I've moved a lot into stable coins, right? Because so they're always worth $1. And I'm getting 9% interest on my stable coins as this market is doing what it's doing. So I'm a percentage of my portfolio is always in stables, getting that 9% interest. And I do that over on Voyager. If you click the link in my TikTok bio, you should be able to find your way over to Voyager. And be sure you use that link. Yes, it is my referral link, but you have to use a referral link, because then you'll get $25 in free Bitcoin when you start using Voyager. I think you need to like trade, like buy or sell like $100 of crypto or something, or maybe deposit $100 of crypto to get the $25 in Bitcoin. But nonetheless, the big point there is I barely have any money in the bank ever. Any dollars, I turn them into USDC coin and put them on Voyager to just get my 9%. And that gets paid to me every month. I don't get 9% a month. We get 9% a year. And that whatever monthly portion of that gets paid to me every month. And I'm not special. That's the way it works for literally everybody. XRP, what was that, Baldwin? My top 3 cryptos, yeah. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, probably Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP, in that order for me. If Hex goes below 10 cents, I'm going in hard. Hex is one that I certainly missed out on. Oh God. Oh, nothing. I don't know if anything made more people rich than Hex. But that was, I missed out on that, and I'm just chalking it up to a loss for myself. I don't know. I don't know how Hex works from now. I know you getting it from the beginning is amazing, but maybe Hex is one that I would definitely look into. The market cap is so humongous for Hex. I know it's not on Coin Market Cap and stuff, but Hex is like what, top 5 by market cap in reality. So I don't know, because I don't know what Hex says. Oh, Mike's coming on. Here we go, everybody. I just invited him. He's going to be on here in just 3, 2, 1. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Hey, man. How's your day going?
Oh, pretty good. So sorry about that.
It's all good, man. We've just been over here talking shop about some crypto. People are pretty excited to learn about, because I like to preach passive income, because that's the real way to financial freedom. Like, it's nice crypto and stuff goes up and you can make large chunks of cash. But the reality is passive income is how you actually get financial freedom. And it's no secret, real estate's always been the best way to do that. And when I came across you and how well Airbnb was going from a cash on cash return, blew my mind. And I was like, I got to share this with my people.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a wild journey. I kind of fell into it a couple of years ago. By the way, can you see my face? I don't know if you can.
I don't know. I was wondering. I just see your kind of image, and it seems to be. We had this problem yesterday with Kayla Kilbride, but then she went off and came back on and was able to do video.
Okay, I can try to do that too.
Cool. Yeah, try that. We'll be right here. So Mike with us. Be sure to stay on this stream. Guy charges like $400 for a consult. So you're getting this for free, and we're going to get everything out of him that we can. It's going to be very valuable. Stay on here. Share this. Actually, share this stream. Hit that share button. Share this thing. See if we can get Mike on video. Yeah, hit that share button. Let's get as many people on here as possible, especially if you know some people that could benefit from this, that you would like to see benefit from this. So we're connecting with Mike. Hopefully we get some video right here. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Good to see you, man.
there it is. What's going on?
Hello.
Much better.
Same old thing. Where are you out of, by the way, Mike?
Right now, well, it's funny enough, we're setting up a new Airbnb, so we got a lot of boxes. We're down in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale.
That seems like a really good opportunity here. As we go through, feel free to walk us around and show us, like, things you find, things you're going to fix up, things you look for. This is a really good educational moment, everybody.
For sure, yeah. So this one, thankfully, is a little more turnkey. We've done a couple that we had to fix up a bit to kind of add some value to, but this one's a little more turnkey, so it's really just furniture and new paint. So big selling point is the location, which is obviously, really important with really any rental property, but short-term rentals. There's a pool. We added a pool table, and we have a ton of furniture going in. But that's really all we have to show right now. It's kind of an empty house for the next week. And we'll start putting stuff together, and we should be up and running in the next month.
When did you acquire it?
We closed on Monday.
So just 2 days ago. This is that
2 days ago. Yeah, so it's pretty fresh. We had one thing that we do with our Airbnb properties is once we're in under contract, we'll start selecting furniture. And then as soon as we get the clear to close, we'll order some of the bigger items. And then as soon as we actually close, we order everything, usually within 24 hours. So it's kind of, it's the toughest part is really furnishing an Airbnb and getting it staged. So it can be a little stressful, but the cash flow, like you said earlier, and the return on your investment is well worth it.
Yeah, man. I was watching some of your videos, and he got disconnected there. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. Who knows what his Wi-Fi is like in his brand new property? He'll be back on in a second. But I'm gonna ask him about his story, how he got started, because he started from zero just like a couple of years ago, and now here we are. He's in one of his brand new properties, and I know he's using just income and profits from his current properties to finance these. Like, that was another thing that I was saying, was he'd buy a property, and within a year he'd make more from the property than it cost him to buy the damn thing. And so he was the housing properties have also been going up, so he'd refinance them and take out cash on it and go buy another property. And I bet that's what he did with this one, because that's really good, because you can do that tax-free with a 1030 exchange. That's what I believe you use. I've done some real estate. I've not done Airbnb, though. We got Mike. There he is, the guest request. He's coming on here in 3, 2, 1.
Sorry, I don't know, but I did just get
Wi-Fi today. Is like in the new property.
I literally just set it up about 30 minutes ago. But
the Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah, no, I heard what you were saying. So there's really a couple of unique strategies with short-term rentals, Airbnbs. Is really, you can start with any budget. So a lot of people ask me, like, how much do I need to start? And the real key answer is, well, how much do you have? And then pick a strategy, like what strategy you want to start with. So obviously most people think of buy and hold, right? I got to put 10, 15, 20% down on a place, spend money on furniture, set it up, then start making money. That can be a cost barrier of entry for a lot of people first starting. So you could do something called rental arbitrage, which start an LLC, call it Michael's Corporate Housing Company, approach landlords or, for rent by owners, rent on a corporate lease agreement, gaining permission to in turn furnish and rent out. So really you're only responsible for, if it's not a furnished rental already, putting furniture in, costs associated with the lease. So no down payment, right? No closing costs, really no credit needed, and then you're up and running. So the cash on cash return is usually way higher through rental arbitrage because there's far less initial capital deployed. So if I were starting over again, I would probably do rental arbitrage starting out, because our first investment, we spent right around $110,000 on a place that cash flows $5 to $7 grand a month. But we could have probably done, I don't even know, 4 to 6, maybe more arbitrage deals, smaller deals, and cash flowed, 8 to 10 a month easy on doing that strategy. So, and then you have co-hosting or partnering with someone, right? Leveraging other people's money. You could always go run numbers on a property, present it to an investor, partner on, whether it's arbitrage or buy and hold. So there's a lot of unique ways to get started, really in real estate in general, but those strategies are pretty cool that are Airbnb specific.
I want to dive into more of that with you, but I want to rewind, because you've only been doing this like a couple of years, right?
Yeah, the end of 2019 was our first acquisition.
So right before COVID hit.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was probably an interesting time for you to have your first property. So tell us what all that's been like, how you got started, why you got started, how you learned about it, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I had started reading. Like, I was a college athlete, so once my career ended, I went into the workforce. I was doing sales for a tech company, and initially the goal was like, okay, let's go find a career, make as much money as possible, so I can support like an awesome lifestyle, start a family, all that. Very quickly found out how tough it is to find enjoyment in life while you're trading so like 40 to 60 hours a week for
Trading time
money.
for money.
Right, trading time for money. So then I started, learning more about real estate, the whole aspect of financial freedom, and how you can actually achieve that. You hear a lot of people online talking about it, but it doesn't seem real until you actually kind of go put it to work. So I didn't really know what the path was going to lead to. I was looking at kind of side hustling. I ended up moving from Texas to Nashville. Learned more about short-term rentals because I was initially looking at long-term rentals, right? The typical buy a duplex or a single-family home and rent it out to somebody. But they typically cash flow like $200 to $400 a door on average, or per room on average. And I was like doing the math, like how many houses is it going to take us to hit our freedom number? It's different for everybody. Then I learned about short-term rentals, and I was like, if these numbers are real, like we're all in. Like there's no way they're real. Like a lot of people think I'm guessing, but they are real. It's just crazy. So we got our first one, and we saw all the bookings come in, and I was like, this is nuts. Like a single property could literally set you financially free. I mean, cash flow thousands of dollars, and some months
Just
over
one?
10. Yeah, just one.
Wow.
Obviously, it depends on the size, the location, and all that, but literally just one property, or maybe up to like 3 properties. I think most people could hit financial freedom. Um, so that was like spectacular. And then with COVID came around, we were actually under contract for our second property. No, not financial advice here, but we liquidated our retirement accounts to fund the purchase of the second one. And we closed right after everything kind of shut down. So we had to pivot to cater to.
So almost about 2 years exactly from today.
Yeah, we were under contract right now. 2 years ago, we just went under contract. It's pretty wild. Thankfully, we hold on to it because a lot of people that I knew in Nashville, this was in Nashville, sold off their rentals. So the supply today in Nashville, if you go on AirDNA, is less today than it was at the end of 2019. And the demand is all the way back and going to continue to grow in Nashville. So from that aspect, it's been great because that one property now is like that we closed on during COVID. Cash flows like 5 to 6 grand a month by itself. So we made like far exceeding what we would have gotten in our 401k by investing into a real asset that's producing cash flow. And then I know you mentioned the equity piece when I got kicked off a couple minutes ago. So a couple of our properties we did fixer uppers, so we did a little more rehab. And then what we ended up doing was tapping into that equity after a year or a year and a half down the road. As the market's gone up, we also added value to the house. We could do what's called a cash out refinance, where you could pull up to a certain amount based on the current value of the property, appraised value of the property. You could pull that money out tax free, and we've reinvested it. So this entire house that we're in right now is a $1.5 million Airbnb. Never thought we would invest in something crazy like this, but
Let that settle in, right? How far you've come in 2 years.
Crazy. But anyone could do it. That's why I get excited about it. But this property itself, was the entire investment was funded with funds from the cash out refinance, which again was tax free money, not a 1031 exchange, because we didn't sell the property for a property, but we moved that equity over. So yeah, it's just been a wild ride.
So you're doing kind of a buy, borrow, die thing, where you're getting loans against the equity, reinvesting and growing your assets and cash flow that way. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, sure.
Which is a great point to make, because I'm assuming you start with one property as long as you can, because I don't know what you do with the income or revenue you make from that. I don't know how much you're putting towards principal on your loan and stuff like that. But obviously the equity, the home values across the country have pretty much gone up. So that's been really nice, obviously, for you. And being able to take that money, put in other ones. I'm sure your company has built a really nice credit score. So getting loans, if you ever need it, I'm sure is no problem. That's super interesting, man. And how many properties do you have now? This is number what?
This will be the 6th Airbnb. And then we have one other long-term rental that we're selling, actually. So
when did you get the long-term rental?
We turned our primary residence into a long-term rental when we left. So my wife and I quit our corporate jobs almost a year ago, and we traveled in a camper van for 6.5 months across the country.
Awesome. Like a Sprinter?
Yeah, like a Sprinter.
That's awesome.
And so what we did is just held on to the property, and we're glad we did, just because the market's just gone up, and we rented it out. So we made a little bit of money each month as a long-term rental there.
Now I did write down some questions I want to go over with you, because I'm assuming no one knows anything. So I kind of want to start from that. Your story, obviously, like you're just a regular guy. How old are you, Mike?
29.
29, right? So your regular trajectory, got out of college, got into the swapping time for money corporate world, as like most people do, realized this sucks. Life is short. What else can I do? Right.
Right.
And were you married at that time?
So no, my wife and I, we got married in just before we bought our first Airbnb, like 3 or 4 months before that. So we had talked about it for a while, but yeah, both of us were, in the corporate world, just doing what people do.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, let me look at some of my questions here and see where a good place to start is. You were talking about how people can get into, did you call it co-hosting, or what did you call arbitrage? That's what you called it. So you form an LLC or an S corp or an LLC. Which would you guys
LLC.
preference? LLC.
Yeah. If you do S corp, you'll pay self-employment tax on the cash flow. So it's better if you just form an LLC. You could file it as more than likely filed as just Schedule E on your tax return, but work with a CPA who knows what they're doing. They could help you out with that.
So there's a really good tip, LLC, that's for sure. And then, so you're reaching out to landlords and you're saying, hey, would you be open to doing some kind of corporate housing agreement? Do you tell them that, hey, I do Airbnb, or
Yeah,
how's
nope.
the conversation go?
I would not mention the word Airbnb unless they ask, do you rent on Airbnb? And then you could say, one of the methods of advertising our property is through Airbnb, but we use several others as well. Even if Airbnb is the only one you're going to list on, but you approach them as like, because corporate housing traditionally was a company renting an apartment, furnishing it for either their own people traveling into work, or maybe people are coming to interview with their company, so they put them up in their own furnished space instead of a hotel, or they're again traditionally and becoming more popular as of late is travel nursing, work relocation, construction workers, people that need to go work for maybe a week or months at a time, and they need a furnished place to stay. So it's almost like midterm rental, so not long term, not short term. But what a lot of people have done with the arbitrage method is pitch it as that and say we also rent to leisure travelers as well coming into town. That's among our clientele, so you can rent on a short term basis there. Yeah.
What liabilities do you take on in that case?
So liabilities, I mean, that's actually a great question. Obviously, if the owner is probably responsible for anything. I think it's on a case by case basis, right? If something were to happen in the property, who are they going to blame negligence for? Is it the homeowner for not repairing certain thing, or is it you as the operator of the business? But I guess the more important thing to talk about is how you protect yourself. So you can have specific insurance for a short-term rental, even if you're not buying it. Companies like Proper Insurance will also insure, I believe, a rental arbitrage deal. And what you want there is the $1 million plus liability coverage, loss of rents. They'll even insure things like bed bugs if you can't rent due to stuff like that. So it's very short-term rental specific policy. Airbnb also gives you a $1 million liability coverage too, as well.
That cover damages and stuff like that?
Not well. So they do have something called a host guarantee through their air cover, which is kind of like they're insuring hosts to some aspect. But they have a liability for like a personal injury thing that basically covers all hosts. So it's built-in insurance policy. But they do have a damage claim system. So if you do have damage, document and then charge guests. If the guests refuse to pay it, as long as your communication and your documentation is good, they'll either pull from that security deposit or they'll pay you out of Airbnb's pocket to make you whole, which is pretty awesome.
By the way, everybody that's on here, we will be doing a Q&A session. I just want to get through kind of the rundown with Mike here to get you guys the basic stuff. So save your questions for later, but we will go through some of those. Now, what do you use? Do you usually use that Airbnb thing, or do you use that coverage, or do you usually use something else for your properties?
So we use Proper Insurance for as many as we can. Now, Proper won't.
You mean like? Oh, sorry, you were.
It's like a specific homeowners insurance policy, but it's bundled with like a much higher personal like injury liability coverage. So you typically would only get like 300 or 500,000 with your own home. Most insurers won't go above that, but there's other things in the insurance policy that are important, like they'll even pay you loss of rents. Like if something happened to your property where you could not rent for 30 straight days, they will pay you out on what they estimate as your daily rate for those days as your opportunity loss, opportunity cost.
Okay, that's good to know. So they cover that too, more than
Yep.
just, okay, so all kinds of damages, including loss of cash flow, loss of income.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
good. So that sounds, I mean, I'm sure that's not cheap, but I'm sure it's completely necessary.
Yeah, definitely necessary. It is a little more expensive than typical homeowners insurance, depending what location you're in. It usually runs 2 to 3x what normal homeowners insurance costs. Sometimes not as much, not quite that high, but usually I would budget for that in my, in the analysis.
So moving on to the next part, how do you go on the hunt for Airbnb properties? What are you looking for? How do you find them? Stuff like that.
So a great tool I recommend everyone using, and you can look at some free info, but you really need to pay for it, like on a monthly subscription. It's called AirDNA. AirDNA, DNA. Yep.
Okay.
It's the main data hub, and there's some other ones like MashVisor or Data Rabu, some others. But AirDNA is kind of the market leader, and they have the best user interface too to kind of toy around with the data. But basically, if you purchase a market, let's say Nashville, for example, you can literally look at the occupancy information and use filters. I literally want to look at 3-bedroom properties in Nashville. What was their occupancy rate, meaning how many days on average per month were they rented, percentage,
Oh, wow.
every single month in the trailing 3 years. You can notice trends in the market, seasonality, and you can do the same thing for daily rates. And then they rank it based on percentile of performing properties. So if you're in the 90th percentile, you're basically in the top 10% of performing properties. This is what you could expect in this market if you are one of those properties. And they give you like several different percentiles to look at. So that data is very helpful to basically build into my analysis, like what the forecast is, right? Because at the end of the day, the thing that is going to swing how much money you make or lose, hopefully never lose money in a short-term rental, is the daily rate and how many days you're occupied per month.
What have you found to be a average occupancy rate?
It varies drastically depending on the market. I really like to stay in markets that are not super like hyper seasonal, meaning like a northern beach or lake that's slammed for 4 months out of the year, but it kind of tapers off and it's really quiet during the winter. You can still make very good money there, but what if something happens and you can't rent during, or there's a storm? Like, who knows? Like if you botch a couple weeks or a month of the busy season, your whole year's kind of going to be hurt. So I really like to have steadier locations. Like South Florida is a very good location. Phoenix and Scottsdale, Arizona is extremely steady, like north of 80% for the 75th percentile. Steady. It's pretty wild.
So that's a really good point that he brought up there. The yearly demand, the year-round demand sounds like very good. And where do you? I know you have some properties in Tennessee. Where else do you have them?
So we have 2 in Nashville, 2 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is the Smoky Mountains. Then we have 2 that we're about to launch in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
In Florida, where is this one in Florida that you're in now?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Smoky Mountains. People don't really know this, but that's by far the most visited national park in the country.
Yep.
Right. So people are thinking Gatlinburg. Why would he pick that? Because it's very visited. Plus, there's other touristy things there too, like entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Mostly geared towards a lot of older people, right? Families and older
No,
people.
actually,
or am I wrong about that?
Oriented. There's amusement parks like with Dollywood there. There's tons of like moonshine distilleries, so stuff for like people who like to go out and drink and have a good time. Bunch of restaurants, and they have some other things built up too. There's even like a small slopes for skiing and snowboarding. And then there's a ton of like kind of like the tchotchke stuff, like go-karting, pancake houses, like diners. So they kind of have everything, but it's definitely focused more on family oriented. I think there's like 15 to 16 million people per year visit the Smokies. So it's a very, very highly trafficked area. A lot of foot traffic from tourists.
Have you mainly focused on family oriented vacation areas? Not that Nashville would be that, but Nashville's Nashville. Nashville's very good.
Yeah, I think you carve it up into a few different categories, right? You have like the metro destinations where you have a lot of like entertainment mixed with business travel, mixed with young people just exploring cities. You have the traditional vacation destinations, and there's really two sets there. Ones that are more like fly to destinations like a Hawaii or somewhere that's like deep in the mountains where it's like more of like a luxury, a lot of money is typically spent on those. And then you have the regional destination spots, which tend to do the best, and are really they're just most steady over time, especially in times of economic uncertainty, because people will still probably drive to take their family to the beach or the mountains or a lake somewhere and just kind of be secluded. So those are like kind of the three different areas.
So all right. So we've used AirDNA. We've found properties. We know what our budget is. We've got a bunch of numbers up there. By the way, you have some really good templates, don't you?
Yeah, I do offer
To help people, spreadsheets to help people assess that.
Yeah, they're kind of like plug and play. So basically, you plug in all the info on the property, the projected expenses and revenue, and it'll spit out your cash flow and cash on cash return and all that good stuff.
Where can people find those?
Anything that I provide to people is usually located in my bio link in any social media platform.
So they go to your TikTok page and find it in there. Oh yeah, you have a stand page. That's right.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Very good. So we've done an arbitrage and maybe we've gotten funded. We have our first property. What do we do now? Like a good example, you got this place right here. You said some things, but I wanted you to go back and show this journey.
So once you have a property that the numbers look good, I wouldn't hesitate. Typically I'll do a most likely conservative forecast, and then I'll duplicate the spreadsheet twice. And I'll go on the lower end for the revenue and the occupancy rate and the average daily rate, and I'll go on the higher end. So I kind of stress test it both ways. What is the true potential of it if I really knock it out of the park? But what if I don't perform as I think I will? Am I still going to be cash flow positive? What is my return going to be? So I kind of do a low and a high. As long as the numbers are tight, the deal makes sense in my opinion. So go for it because it's very competitive. It's a very, very competitive space to invest your money right now. Real estate in general, but especially short-term rentals. So once you make offers or if you get a rental arbitrage deal, once you secure it, then it's time to furnish it. And I think one of the biggest mistakes new investors make is doing bare bones on. You don't have to go all out on furniture, but don't go bare bones with kind of like decor and it's very bland. Like you want to sell the experience to some extent, right? What are the key moments within your property? Because we live in a digital age where you're scrolling through hundreds or thousands of properties on your phone. Which one's going to catch your attention as a guest? Like you want a special experience. You want to book something that you don't get at home every day, right? So if you're able to create that and have maybe different amenities that other people don't, create a wall with like a mural that people like to take photos for Instagram, whatever, you're going to be able to charge more per night, and you're probably going to get booked more as well and get better reviews. All plays into ranking higher on Airbnb search, and it's kind of like a cycle that happens, and you continuously hopefully do better and make more money.
Okay. I like that thing you said. I think that kind of says it where you said, like an Instagram worthy wall or something like that, or things that's going to get you more exposure, more pictures, more just fun. And so what you're really saying is focus on the experience. Focus on people loving their experience being there because that's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, and definitely understand why people are visiting your market, right? The reason someone's visiting the Smoky Mountains is very different than someone visiting South Florida or Nashville. How important is like proximity within the given market or location within a given market? Because do you need a view? Like in the Smokies, a view sells. If your place isn't that great, but if you have a killer view of the mountains, you're probably going to be able to charge a premium for it because there's only so much real estate people can build to have that kind of view. So that can really help you. And then, look on top performing properties on AirDNA. There's a section on the bottom left. Actually shows you on a map where properties are located. You can find like clusters where they're at. And that's helped us a lot doing sight unseen offers. Like in Fort Lauderdale, we had never been here before, but we found out where the better locations were based on other properties and how much money they were making, which you can all see all on AirDNA. And then the other thing is click on the photos, see what amenities they have, see what kind of decor styles they have. And that's the general theme you want to stick to. Now, I would suggest still finding ways to stand out from direct competition, but within that general theme, I think, that's what people are clearly looking for and are spending money on.
Do you find, like I saw you have a pool table over there, do you typically add things into your properties is that part of enhancing the experience, being able to do things on the property and stuff?
For sure, yeah. If you can, especially if you're in more of like a vacation destination, if the guests can pretty much have a ton of fun just without ever leaving the property, I think that's when people are going to be willing to spend more money for a specific space. Because in my opinion, there's two different types of vacationers. Those that are going to a place and they plan to be out exploring nonstop, and they really don't care where they stay. And then there's other people that they want to relax and do things maybe just in the house that they don't have in their own house, and go out and explore, but not as much. So I think if you could have like a pool table or even like a game room or a theater room, or really an awesome outdoor space, people love to be outside with like really good lighting and good photos. It really helps sell the property, and in turn, you're going to get great reviews because you provide that type of those type of things.
Back in almost the exact time you're talking about, right there at the end of 2019, me and my family went to Disney World in Orlando, and we stayed at this property that was like, I don't know, it had a lot of bedrooms. It was part of a bigger community that basically they were all vacation rentals for people that they own. Like I would own my own, but they must have been managed by the greater community. And then there was a community hub too that had like, pools and stuff like that. And our house, we had, it was big, and it had a little pool in the back, covered obviously because it's Florida Gators, and then it had like in the garage they had a bunch of gaming things. They had like a foosball table, some video arcades, and everything was in so many different rooms were themed differently, different Disney style. Like one room was like a Mickey Minnie Mouse room, one was like a Frozen room, and it's like, this is so cool. I'd imagine those are the types of things you're talking about with experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Disney's a very competitive market. A lot of people go all out with the themed rooms and whatnot, but yeah, if you don't do that, I feel like you're missing out on an opportunity, because parents want their kids to have a good experience. They want to take photos and videos and kind of create the memories, right, that they'll cherish forever. So they're not just paying for a place to stay in; they're paying for a place to have an experience, create a memory, and hopefully,
That makes sense. Because I at that time too, I remember, because I know how much we paid to stay there
yeah,
for a week, and I was
yeah,
just like, how much do these things sell for? And I'm like, this person is making a killing. I'm like, and this is Disney. This is
yeah,
Disney World. This is year round.
yeah,
Granted, COVID happened shortly after that, so I'm sure that drastically affected that particular area because even Disney World had to shut down for a while. But still, I was just like, the amount of that he had to be making, because those houses at that time were going for like 350, 400,
mm-hmm.
and bringing in up to 10K a month in revenue. And I'm like, is that right? Just like you were saying at the beginning of this, like, are those numbers right? Like, that's
Oh, yeah,
insane.
yeah,
Especially because I've done real estate in the past with, wholesale and flipping and stuff like that. And I never really held on to any properties because I know you're supposed to get them and get the rental, but I'm like, God, you barely make any money every month. And you have all these expenses and liabilities. In reality, you're hoping in 10 years you paid down the mortgage sum and you have enough equity to take out a loan to get a next property. And like you were saying, you got to stack so many of them before you actually are financially free, and they can all cover each other. Because if you buy like a single family home, which is the easiest thing to buy, that's
mm-hmm.
also a big liability, because when it's vacant, you're paying for it, and it's
Right,
just one. You got to look at them all as units. But with what you're doing here with Airbnb, you have such a big demand in marketplace, and you can really stand out, and the revenue is so much there that you don't need to be occupied 100% of the
right,
time. You can be occupied, I don't know, maybe 60% of the time, and still make a good amount of money. And
right.
that just seems to make a lot of sense to me, because I've been watching some of your stuff and I saw some of the numbers you're going through. And I was like, that is just killer. That is just killer. So we got the property. We're in here. We've made it, a good experience. We focus on. We've got the furniture. We've got maybe some fun stuff in there. How do we start marketing it?
So the marketing is
Phil.
just through Airbnb or Verbo, whatever other listing platform you want to go on. But it's critical to get professional photos taken. Like, even your iPhone could take good photos, but hire a professional. It's not just the photos, more so the lighting and the editing. You guys know the difference between, you see a place that looks like it should be in a magazine. That same place, photos, poor lighting and poor editing, will look terrible. And a lot of people will just swipe right through it. So if you can, that really helps play into your click rate on Airbnb. And it's all about click rate in the world we live in today. So it's no different than social media, right? Earn a click, how long it's going to hold your attention span for. At the end of the day, I want them to scroll through as many photos as possible and think, oh, wow, I could have a good time here. I could have a good time here. So yeah, photos are critical, and then just put them on Airbnb, build your listing, and that's really it for marketing.
So you're saying spend the money, get a pro, because again, that's going to be a fantastic investment in your ongoing, your investment period.
And yeah, and photographers actually aren't that expensive, a few $100 typically.
And that's they'll typically come in, they'll bring some equipment, they'll light it up, they'll get it, they'll edit them, give you those magic ones. How many people, I'm just going to assume that makes you stand out already, because I'm guessing, my guess is half or more probably don't do that.
Yeah, I would say, a lot of the properties that we compete directly with do also have professional photos, but there are so many listings, and you guys could look in your local market. Um, Typically, a lot of like old vacation places, like maybe like random lakes and mountain places. There are some photos that like you could even see people's reflection in the mirror taking a photo of themselves. Like it's just terrible, and it's hurting. It's killing them. So
They
the
got
other
a picture of the bathroom and you can see them in there with the phone.
I've seen it many times, and it's garbage. Like, just don't do that. It's not. You'll make so much more money if you have great photos.
So the marketing part, so it sounds like once you've set it all up, you get it on Airbnb mostly, and then maybe some vrbo.com or app or whatever. And then, so how do we start? How do we manage the property after that? What do we do? Do we hire a property manager? Do we do it ourselves? How do we set all that up?
So when you first start, I would highly recommend trying to self-manage because property managers typically charge 20 to 35% of revenue.
Oh, wow.
So we self-manage our properties, and just to give you an example, last year I think we brought in just over 600,000. If we paid a property manager 20%, it's $120,000 out of pocket.
Yeah.
And if they would have even done as good of a job, right? Most PMs aren't up to date.
Yeah, no way.
They
no one care about the property like you do.
Right. So eventually we want to outsource, right, to really take ourselves out of the business. But with apps nowadays, everything is so automated. Like you can automate your messaging. We use Guesty for hosts. There's other ones like Hospitable or Owner Res. There's some others out there. You can automate your guest messaging. So if you were to book one of my places, automated response with the details about the house, day before you get check-in instructions sent, how to get in the house, keyless entry, security camera, I get notified, all stuff super easy. Checkout instructions sent. It'll even auto review guests for me. And then we use a pricing tool called Price Labs, which updates through Guesty or Hospitable. Then that pushes to your listing platforms. But the pricing tool, basically, you put in your customizations. And then it uses like a data analytics, machine learning, kind of has their own, similar to AirDNA, to pull pricing information and demand in the local market. And it'll change your pricing daily for you based on demand, up or down. So that'll help kind of automate that, because that's where I wasted a lot of time at the beginning.
I bet. I'm going to say, I feel like it would probably do better than we would as people anyways, because it's compounding all that data and doing it. That was going to be one of my questions. How do you decide day to day what you're going to charge? So that's how you do it. Automate it. Good tip.
Sure. Yeah. Then that's really it. Once you have that, I mean, the biggest thing outside of the tools is hiring an amazing local cleaner that communicates well. They're going to be.
I was going to say, I've heard that can be difficult, that part of it.
Yeah, and if you don't have a good one, just continue to interview people until you find one. And once you have a great one, lock them in, pay them well, tip them, and just they have to communicate well. And hopefully they'll be willing to onboard some type of tech or calendar syncing tool like Resort Cleaning or Turnover B&B, or just do like an iCal link to their Gmail or to their Outlook. That way they can get their reservation information in real time going in and out of their calendar. So if there's a booking, they know when to go and clean it. And if there's a cancellation, it's pulled off their calendar. Because that could be a big time suck too, is like screenshotting schedules or texting your cleaners, hey, just got a booking, make sure to put it on your calendar, and then checking in like, hey, are you on there, are you there at the property cleaning? But beyond that, it's pretty streamlined. I mean, it doesn't take more than maybe 30 minutes a week to manage a single property.
That's what you would have been paying 6 figures a year for property management for.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what a good return for them. Wow.
We had more, right? So it usually takes us like 1 to 3 hours a week with multiple properties. It's just responding to individual questions from guests. Like, it's not anything crazy. We don't get calls in the middle of the night. If that happens, it's extremely rare. Most of the time, it's like, can I check in early? Or I don't know, like, hey, by the way, there's an issue with the sink. And I'm like, okay, then the maintenance goes out and it's all taken care of. So most of the time it's relatively passive. It's not 100% passive, but it's worth, tens of thousands of dollars in not paying a property manager when you're first starting, at least.
I mean, listen, give up a little bit of TV time is all it sounds like to manage these properties. I mean, talk about a better use of your time. A few hours a week. I mean, if you can't do a few hours a week, guys, like, are you kidding? Now, speaking of that, with the maintenance thing, if something does go wrong there, toilets, leaks, water, like what do you do with that? How do you find the people to handle that?
So usually start with your cleaners. They'll usually have a recommendation because they have other properties to manage. Sometimes cleaners will also have a maintenance arm to their company, so they can handle maintenance for you. In some cities, there's a company called Mend B&B that's bubbling up, and Mend B&B will allow guests or you to contact them through call or text to go fix. It's a subscription, so $100 a month. Any issue whatsoever, they'll come fix. If it's a more involved, like something like serious, like HVAC, they'll source a professional and then they'll invoice you for it. But just having them is a huge peace of mind. You can submit work orders and you don't have to worry about it. So if you can source some type of recurring service, basically like pay them a retainer, it's a small fee, and then pay, even if you have to pay them per visit beyond that, it's well worth it because you have to treat it, even if it's a local property, I would treat it like you're 100 miles away.
Do you guys hear all that? What I'm taking from this, Mike, is that there are companies getting built around supporting Airbnb owners,
Yep.
maintenance, cleaning, air DNA, all these things. So it's like it's got to be easier than it's ever been because you're making it sound just, I don't want to say easy, just like there's just so many excellent resources to really, even if you're a total newbie, you could do this because all these gaps are getting filled in.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And then what else was I going to ask there? So we went through all these steps. We have the property, we have the people to manage it. You're managing it. We've marketed it. What else would you have to say in terms of something else someone should know about all this?
That's really it. It's I like to keep it simple. I don't like to overcomplicate it because I think when you dig into like kind of the bare bones of it, it's not a super complicated process. It does seem overwhelming.
Your sound went out, Mike. Your hand might be on the mic. There's no sound. Maybe your hand's on the mic. Maybe not. Oh, there we go. I hear you.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, my hand was on the mic. I was going to say, like, once you learn how to crunch the numbers, like any investment, it feels unnerving to dump a bunch of money into a place, but it is well worth it. I think you have to think about, like, how do you evaluate what risk really is to you? And for me, the turning point, because I was like always nervous to invest and didn't like the volatility of the stock market or even crypto. I was just like, eventually you're going to have to invest because if you want financial freedom, right? What's riskier to you? The chance that you working that job that you may or may not like for the next 40 to 50 years, or taking a perceived risk or calculated risk to become financially free at a much younger age to actually get your time back. So once I adopted that mindset, like investing isn't even scary anymore because I just know like what's the worst thing that can happen is you go start working again,
Yeah.
There's like, it's like a no-brainer.
Well, worst case scenario, you go bankrupt, which is like, it's not like going to jail or losing your life. You can always start over. But that seems like an extremely unlikely thing because even if the value of these properties go down, you don't buy them because of how much they're worth today or how much they're worth tomorrow. You're buying them because of the income producing asset, which is the financial freedom aspect of all that.
Yeah, never buy for appreciation, right? I mean, you could house flip, of course, and you kind of force appreciation on property. You have to be very tight on your numbers, as you know. But for anything rental property related, buy for cash flow, appreciation, and capital paid out, like a principal paid out on the loan. That's just all icing on the cake
Bonus
over the course of time. So, yeah, if the market goes down, as long as you still have renters in there and you're servicing the debt, then you're probably good because the price of real estate in the long run will always go up for as long as the Federal Reserve prints money. Fiat currency.
And that there's more people on the planet and the same amount of space.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So pretty safe spot. We're going to get to a little Q&A in a second. I just want to ask you one last thing here since we got this good use case going on here. So this property, if you're all just tuning in or you didn't hear, Mike's in his newest property. He just closed on it on Monday. And right now he's decorating it and setting it up and everything. So now this is $1.5 million property. I'd imagine this is the highest priced one you've bought. What led you up to deciding to get into this one?
So we were looking in Fort Lauderdale and noticed the demand for higher end properties in a very specific location in the market and the amount of money people are willing to spend. And there's like FU money that comes to this town in Miami and business travel, international business, international like vacationing. And the data is all there supporting it to where it's not abnormal to charge $1,000 a night for a 4+ bedroom place with a pool that's relatively close to all the action. So we saw that, and we found this property, and the numbers just made sense. We're looking for something more turnkey, because the last property we bought for like $850, but we sunk in like $200,000 into it to turn it into a property that's going to perform as well as this one, But we can leverage the money and go buy this turnkey, such as furniture. But the daily rates and our cash on cash return, right? So total cash flow divided by the total amount of money invested out of pocket, basically judging on a cash basis the health of your investment, was well over 30%. By itself. So that was attractive. And I will say this, as you start to scale, I would rather have fewer larger properties, assuming all the return is the same, as instead of having double the amount of smaller properties, because once they're set up, they take just about the same exact amount of effort to manage a big one as it does a small one, because you still have to check the same number of guests in, you still have to communicate with the cleaner, maintenance, and all that.
So what's your goal for 2022? Do you have a number of units you want to get, or what are your goals for this year?
So the goal is to get these two. We're actually closing on our own primary house next month. So we'll probably take a little bit of a break, and I'll focus more on like my education stuff and teaching others how to do Airbnb for the next several months. Then we'll probably end up in doing some more investments later this year. But the goal is to get these two in Fort Lauderdale stood up. They both should cash flow $8 to 12 grand a month after all expenses and mortgage paid. So that's the goal. Get these stood up, and our other ones are running steady. And the summer is always good, so it should be a pretty fruitful, next 6 months or so.
You cool if we dive into some Q&A from the audience?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
And by the way, Mike does have good resources on his TikTok page. If you go there, he's got a whole course that I've looked at it. I haven't taken it myself, but I looked at it, and there's a ton of modules on there. It looks very comprehensive to me. He's got some templates on there that help you go through numbers and some other resources like that. So be sure to check that out after the live stream. But let's go through. If you guys got some questions, throw them in here. I'm going to scroll back up a bit, and because there were some questions that came in. Let's see. How can we access template? That's on his TikTok page. Let's see. So be sure to ask your questions.
I got one. There's do you guys hire interior decorators?
Oh, yep.
Investment.
From Julia Vondersmith.
Yeah. So yes and no. I think we don't really have a design bone in our body, or at least we didn't at first. But what we did was we started looking on top performing properties in a market that we're looking at. Scoured Pinterest. My wife got me hooked on Pinterest to literally type in what you think is really silly, like cute, cozy mountain cabin, and just see what. I know it's crazy, but
grown man typing that in. That's fantastic. Things you do for investing.
Furnish them, and to our surprise, we've done a pretty cool job on furnishing and creating cool experiences, like accent walls, all sorts of stuff. But if you are not local or don't have the time, or you think you can just stand it up faster by hiring an interior designer, just know what they cost or get quotes from them, and there's no reason that should discourage you from doing it. A lot of people hire interior designers because design is a huge part of it. If you're going to pay them an extra $8 grand to furnish a big house and get it done faster and do a better job than you, that in turn might make you 10 to 20 grand more in cash flow per year based on that. So we haven't outsourced yet, but I wouldn't discourage you from doing so.
I see another question here from John Crappenshits. No, that's probably not his real name. Funny name. I live in North Dakota. Should I start with properties up here or move further south and get one good property? What would you say?
So I would look on AirDNA and see there might be some markets in North Dakota that are worth looking at. I will say South Dakota, like the Black Hills area, is really good. But no, I would just look at maybe 3 to 5 markets, hone in on one or more, and then go with the best opportunity that you have at hand. I would say someone commented $100K per year on a $1.5 million investment is a 6.7% return. Just remember that the property is leveraged. It's not purchased all cash, right? So the out-of-pocket investment, including furniture and everything, I think is around 360 grand. And our cash flow is going to be around 120K. So it's over 30. Yeah, it depends what loan you get, right? Depending what your leverage. But I just wanted to walk you through that to explain on where we get that cash on cash return number from.
And just to go back to John's question, Mike said something earlier that I think it's what you said. You said treat the properties like you live 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away. So it does. So from what I take from that is you really shouldn't care where you live. You should just be looking for areas that work well from a business choosing standpoint, because everything Mike was talking about in terms of managing it remotely, having cleaners, having maintenance people, all that stuff. It really shouldn't matter where you are. I am from South Dakota, actually. That's where
Oh,
I
really?
grew up. And
Okay.
I can vouch for the Black Hills, that one
Yeah.
particular area, because of Mount Rushmore. Even in the winter, there's some skiing around there,
Yeah.
and plus Wyoming is nearby. That would be the one. North Dakota, I love you, but I can't think of anywhere great to go there. South Dakota, I'm not going to say that many great things about either, except for that little southwest corner there where the Black Hills are and stuff. But anyways, Mike was saying, how can you go wrong with beaches and stuff like that? But
Yeah.
again, AirDNA, like you were saying, in Airbnb was showing pockets that had higher demand and higher prices and stuff like that, so you can really pinpoint your areas. That's kind of what you were saying, wasn't it, Mike?
For sure, yeah. And honestly, it doesn't have to be a big market. You could find a smaller market or like a smaller or regional city that maybe no other investors are focusing on. And if there's a demand from a travel perspective, a lot of people are shifting from hotels to Airbnb. Even people like in the older generations, with COVID, a lot of them shifted from traditional hotels to Airbnb because they didn't want to be around people. And now they've realized, oh, this is great. I get a whole full furnished house, fully equipped kitchen, privacy, like high speed Wi-Fi, the whole bit. I think, someone was telling me yesterday that 80% of their guests were Airbnb. And I would say at least 50% of our guests are new on Airbnb, which is pretty fascinating.
Really? They're
Yeah. So
new,
that's why
like you're like their first property or first few.
they have no reviews. They created their profile like March 2022. It'll tell you there. So that's fascinating to me, where I think the demand and the amount of people that still aren't on Airbnb or going to be on Airbnb soon is going to continue to grow.
That's very good to know. And that leads me to a question, because I know you can reject guests and stuff like that. When someone comes on with zero, how do you analyze that?
So you can set an instant booking. It's called instant booking, basically allowing a guest to auto book your place or not without having a certain set of criteria, or you could turn it off altogether. And that way you can at least have a conversation with them to kind of vet them. But in order to instant book, I think you can do an age requirement. You can do must have government verified ID on file, must be recommended by other hosts, and a couple of other criteria. So if they don't have those, they won't be able to instant book if you have that toggled on, and they therefore have to message you, and then you can kind of chat with them back and forth and be like, okay, yeah, that's fine, you can rent the place. Or if you're really uncomfortable with it, most guests are great, but some may not have the best intentions. Then or if it's someone younger and you're avoiding a party crowd on like a
Sure.
holiday, something, you could deny them. So within reason.
I see a question. Does it negatively affect the algorithm if you deny bookings? Do you know that or not?
That's a really good question. I don't know if it says it explicitly on Airbnb, but if you consistently deny bookings, I almost guarantee you're going to get demoted in your search ranking.
That would make sense to me,
But
because
it shouldn't hurt.
affect the
It
platform.
shouldn't hurt you if time to time, like a guest might message you and they're like, people always do this. Like they're clearly like Christmas is already booked, and they're like, they'll message you for dates in November, and they're like, hey, I saw Christmas didn't let me book. Like, is it available? And I'm like, no, like it's not. So then you have to deny the book and give a reason, like dates are not unavailable. My listing isn't suited for the guest's needs, something like that. So I think if you do it consistently, you may get dinged, but if you do it from time to time, like I doubt it.
So you can select reasons for it, and I'm assuming
Correct.
Airbnb says that's a Christmas time. I'm sure that is an extremely common reason for rejection or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Available.
Dates aren't available, yeah.
I saw another one. Accidental Alpha says something about how much of a safety deposit. Was there anything with safety deposits involved here?
Yeah, so you can charge a security deposit as well to kind of hold guests accountable. I'm pretty sure Airbnb actually doesn't charge the guest card. They just put a hold on it. Vrbo, I think, actually holds it in an escrow account and then refunds guests. But regardless, I think you should charge some type of security deposit. If it's a studio or one bedroom place, maybe just charging $100, just kind of hold someone accountable for their actions. Like, oh, if I were to book it and had a group of friends, I'd be like, hey, don't break shit because I don't want to pay for it. Like I got a couple bucks on the line. For a larger place with a lot of nicer things, you may want to charge upwards of like 500 a night. I've seen places charging the thousands not per night, per stay as a
Sure.
security deposit. Yeah, but I would charge something.
And it's refundable if they're cool.
It is 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you do a minimum number of nights?
Oh, good question. So, yes, and it depends on the property. Like we have a smaller one in downtown Nashville it's really a tiered system on Price Labs, which is the pricing tool. So the typical is one night minimum or 2 nights on the weekend or something like that. And then you could do a tiered system for like last minute bookings. So let's say within 30 days out, I'm going to reduce the minimum night stay to only one night. But anything beyond, let's say 30 or excuse me, 60 or 90 days, again, you could define the criteria. My minimum night stay is actually 5 days, and anything outside of 6 months, my minimum night stay is a week. So you can do a tiered system to where Price Labs will automatically adjust your minimum night stay based on that booking lead time, which is really awesome. It's been really helpful.
And what do you charge cleaning fees above? And what do those look like?
Yeah, so the cleaning fee, you always want to interview your cleaners and get a price from them. Make sure it's a set price on an hourly rate. Most cleaners in the short-term rental space have a fixed rate, but if they do hourly, I would just avoid them. So fixed rate per turn, and what I would recommend doing is charging a little bit more than what your cleaners charge you. So whether it's 10 or 25%, that way you can have extra money, right, to tip your cleaners, to pay for future deep cleans, which are usually way more expensive than a normal clean, and also help pay for some of the incidental costs that bubble up, or like random maintenance and repairs. So I would recommend just padding it just a tiny bit, mainly to compensate the cleaners, but any other little thing in there would help.
And to be clear with everyone, that's above that's in addition to what they're paying for the nightly rate.
Correct. Yep.
But it's a one-time fee for after their stay. Well, what would you say is the typical charge for there? Like 75, $150? Probably, I'm sure very much depends on the property. This property you're in right now is going to be much higher than your average one, I'm sure.
Yeah, it depends on a couple things. Square footage, inside. Jill. Oh, my dogs are outside. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, good.
She's yelling at him. Yeah, no, all good. What were we just talking about? What I miss?
Cleaning. What would you say the cleaning fee, square footage? How do you set it?
Yeah, so it depends on square footage, how much interior space, how much exterior, and then actually a lot of it has to do on the number of linens, right? So how many beds do you actually have? Because not every bedroom is created equal. One might be 600 square foot, one might be 2,000 square feet. So how much work and how much time the cleaners estimate it's going to take them. So they usually kind of come tour the property and then give you a quote to go on.
So they give you a quote. So you can get all that stuff set up ahead of time. That sounds, and maybe you got to adjust your pricing some as you go along, but it doesn't sound like a big barrier to start with.
No.
Okay. Accidental Alpha asks, can you set this up in an LLC if you hold a mortgage?
Yeah. So it depends on the loan, right? If you're doing a conventional mortgage, you're not going to be able to close in an LLC in 99.9% of the time. If you close using a DSCR loan, a debt service coverage ratio loan, which is what we've been using because self-employed, full-time real estate investor now, we can't qualify for conforming conventional loan, right? That's backed by the government. So with the DSCR loans, some of them lenders will actually require you to close in an LLC, even if it's brand new LLC, it doesn't matter. Because the DSCR, instead of using your income and DTI to qualify for the loan, they're using the projected rental income either as a long-term rental or make an exemption and look at the projected rental income as an Airbnb to service the debt. And they're going to qualify for you for the loan there. So all you need is proof of funds and a credit score. But yeah, some of them will make you close in an LLC. All of our other properties, we eventually quit claim the deed into an LLC. Now the mortgage is still held in your name though, regardless.
Even if you quit claim it?
Yep. Yeah, you're just quit claiming the deed. So the business technically owns the house, and the liability is now within the LLC and can't be, hopefully can't be pierced by anything that happens. But the note itself is typically held in the person's personal name.
That's very interesting. I imagine you learned all this. This was something that you learned in the process with mortgage brokers and maybe some attorneys or something like that.
Yeah. And the LLC stuff, I mean, you don't necessarily, a lot of investors don't have LLCs. It's not like a one size fits all thing. Like if you're an investor, you should do LLCs. It really depends on your personal assets and how you want to structure the protections, right? If someone's to fall and break their leg, if they get beyond your insurance, which hopefully you have a high like personal injury liability insurance, if it's not in an LLC, they could reach out and touch your personal assets, right? So some people only do insurance, then have an umbrella policy, which basically sits above everything that you have insured, including personal assets. And that could have additional liability coverage too. So some people only do insurance, some people do both. It's kind of up to you.
Okay. Okay. Have you used a trust at all? Someone at Beards of Treasures is asking about a trust.
No, we don't hold any of our properties in trust currently, but I'm still learning about some of that stuff. Yeah, so no.
And what about what does tax season's coming up? It is up. It is going. What do taxes on this stuff look like? What have you been doing?
Yeah. So great question. So taxes, the reason a lot of people invest in real estate rental property because of the tax advantages. And you'll hear people who invest in real estate don't pay taxes. That holds very true for people with long-term rentals or large multifamily, because of the depreciation alone usually reduces the taxable income.
The depreciation, right?
Depreciation.
Everybody heard that right.
Yes. Which is crazy because it's the only asset, ever, I think, in the world that appreciates, yet you can write off depreciation and reduce your income, which is crazy, right? Yeah. But that's the way the tax code is written. So depreciation typically is just the dwelling of the house, right? Deteriorates over time, so you're able to write off a portion of that per year. And there's some creative things you can do for certain aspects of that, but typically it's on a 27.5-year period. The total value or estimated value of the dwelling itself, you can write off against your taxes. So I'm not going to do quick math off the top of my head because I'll probably butcher it. But basically, you reduce your tax liability. So if you don't have a ton of rental income, you would literally have a net loss, even though you made money, right? And that's among other expenses you can write off. So Airbnbs, it's really hard to reduce that down to zero because the cash flow is so strong. So our cash flow was just over 300 grand last year, and we paid taxes on only like 198,000 worth of cash flow because of the taxable income was reduced by over 30%, which is pretty awesome.
Because of depreciation?
So depreciation was a part of it, and then other expenses. I mean, I can write off my phone, my Wi-Fi, mileage driven, like a whole bunch of stuff that you're legally allowed to write off because it's a business, pertaining to the business. But depreciation is the biggest one. But yeah, so like if that was regular earned income, 300K at my job, I would have paid taxes on 300K of it. So like that's why real estate can be really powerful as part of your portfolio.
Plus, just in case anyone wasn't listening when he said it earlier, he's able to take equity out of his current properties and buy more properties tax-free.
Yep. Yeah. And then I think someone mentioned something, your revenue is way higher than your deduction. So I don't know if this answers your question, ZZ Top, but you pay taxes on your cash flow, like what's left over after the deductions. You don't pay taxes on revenue. So revenue is kind of irrelevant, right? Because I mean, if you have a business that shows a $0 profit, you're not paying any taxes.
You're paying on the net profit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And having properties like this, that's another side too. Whereas unexpected expenses come up, at least the silver lining is you're saving some on taxes and paying for things come up in your business, which is kind of a benefit, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and someone did mention because you pay back depreciation when you sell. Yeah, if you were to go sell that property in a very short time period, yeah, I mean you're going to lose some of that depreciation benefit upon sale of the property, right? But typically most people hold for the long term with rental properties because of the benefit of depreciation and because of the cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, do you have any plans to sell any of these?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. This is not James Barrett asked, what contract do you use for Airbnb arbitrage for residential?
Yeah, so you can honestly probably if I would ask the landlord if they do corporate leases. If it's like a property management organization, they probably have a canned corporate lease agreement that they personally use. So I would get that and look, and you can suggest edits. But if it's like a for sale by owner, I would just go online and get a canned commercial or corporate lease agreement and either work with a lawyer or just kind of do it on your own in conjunction with them to make sure you kind of like cross out certain things that are not applicable to that specific property. It just really needs to state that they're renting to you as a business with the purpose and approval of you furnishing it and re-renting out to your own clients. Those are like the key things in the corporate lease.
So I didn't even think about asking you that before. So you're not just reaching out to landlords for this arbitrage stuff. You're reaching out to property management companies for properties that they manage for these arbitrage opportunities.
Sure. Yeah. If it's a long-term rental, typically people would start with like an apartment complex, but you can do rental arbitrage for high-end luxury properties too, that are for rent by owner, for rent by management company. Really doesn't matter what it is.
One thing I forgot to ask you before is, how do you control entry and check in and check out entry and stuff like keys and all that?
Yep. So I would recommend using a Wi-Fi smart lock. You can have ones that actually integrate with your property management software that will change the code between every group of guests and then send the code to them automatically. And usually you can tell it to change it to like the last four of the phone number associated with their account, or their date and month of their birthday, or date and year, or month and year of their birthday, something like that. So there's different ways to automate that, but avoid using a physical key. Try to streamline it as much as possible. Use battery operated locks, but get one that has a physical key backup in case the battery dies.
A physical key backup. And again, treating all these properties, a lot of them you aren't around. How would
Yep.
you get a physical key to somebody?
So the physical key is usually around the property, either hidden or just like get like a master box or whatever they're called, master lock, and then just
the manual ones with the code.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. I see one here about how do you find co-hosts when you need guest contacts. I'm not sure what that question means. Does that mean something to you?
So how do you find co-hosts when you need guest contacts? I'm not really sure what the question is, but I assume you're asking like, how do you find somebody to co-host for? I don't know if you can confirm that, but co-hosting basically means you would operate as the property manager, whether it's remote or local. So you would approach homeowners, whether they currently operate as an Airbnb or not, propose that they operate as an Airbnb and let you manage it. And you take a management fee. So it takes no money out of your own pocket to get started. It's hardest to start if you don't have any properties though, because you have no experience. Now, what I would recommend doing is going and undercutting property management companies that are charging someone 20 to 30%, offering to do it for 10 or even zero for the first month or two to show them that what you can do. And then hopefully once you have one, it's going to be easier to get the second, third, fourth, and so on. So that's a great way to get started, or expand if you're tapped out on capital, is to go co-host for other people, especially if you already have experience or properties yourself.
Now, I believe most property managers also have a real estate license. Do you not need this in this case? Do you position yourself as property management, or what do you do there for the co-host?
Yeah, you don't need a real estate license to be a PM, and certainly not to invest in properties either.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but
Yeah, I think
there
there is a benefit if you want to save some money on or make your offers more competitive when you're buying properties or even selling properties, because if you're representing yourself, you could eat the 3% commission, and it's just less expenses for the seller, because that usually comes out of the seller's pocket for both buyer and seller agent commission.
Well, again, if you were to go all the way back to the beginning, did you say that you would probably start with arbitrage?
I think I would, yeah, 100%, because you can start with way less money, right? You don't need a down payment. You don't need to qualify for a loan. So if I were starting again, I would start with arbitrage and try to get several until I get my financial freedom goal hit, monthly cash flow exceeding whatever you need, whatever your goal is, right? And then from there, start going into buy and hold properties.
That makes sense. Any last questions for Michael? Mike, thank you so much for sharing this with the audience. Everything. It's been very eye opening and enlightening for me personally, and I actually have some real estate experience, and this is still like blowing my mind. So again, because we're in these crypto markets, and I love crypto long term, no doubt about it. But the real key to financial freedom is passive income, where you got your monthly expenses and then some, typically covered, whether you work or whether you do anything or whatever. Plus, that's just a good life. Mike said him and his wife traveled around the country in a Sprinter for about 6 months or so. My lady and I did that a couple of years back.
Nice.
It was like, it's one of the best experiences I've had in my life. We basically just stuck to the West Coast and really took our time going down there, doing all of 101 and Highway 1 and everything, from because we live up in Seattle, and we took it all the way down very slowly to the border. We got to literally the border, this area called International Friendship Park in San Diego, which is, you literally walk up to the wall and you're talking to Mexicans on the other side. That was crazy, but you had a lot of fun doing that, right? What an experience.
Yeah. the best aspect of real estate is once you get to financial freedom, like it's just liberating leaving a job if you don't want to do it, or if you really enjoy your work. I mean, how much better would it be as if you don't have to rely on that for the money? Like, how much better would you be at your job? You know, how much better of an employee or a coworker or, you know, a family member could you be if you didn't have time constraints, right? Or you can go on vacation literally whenever you want. Like, we can do whatever we want whenever, and it's not like we have to request PTO. Like, that's the best aspect of it, I think, is the time freedom. Less about money, right? It's more about time, but money is the avenue, the passive of it.
True personal choice.
Exactly. Yep.
That is just, what do I want most? And that's, I mean, life's short, right? So, I mean, that's the real goal. I mean, people think, oh, you need $1 billion. Do you really need $1 billion? What you
Right.
need is freedom of choice. That's what you really need. And how can you get there? Because when you set these unrealistic goals, it's just a disaster, you know. And we've all done it. We've all had dream or goals that are just insane. I see it every single day. But the reality is, you know, you're talking, you get 1, 2 Airbnb properties, you could be done. You could be like, I don't have anything else to worry about. Now everything is just, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep growing this? And if I do, it's not even so much about the money. It's about something else that I care about.
Yeah.
You know,
The other,
maybe I want to grow my stack and buy the Minnesota Vikings. You know, that's
yeah.
insane goal. But
The
you
other,
don't go that crazy either.
yeah, the other thing that is fascinating with Airbnbs that is not with any other type of investment is you can plop them in whatever location you want. So once you hit your financial freedom number, even if one's not making you a ton of money, it's still a paid for vacation house. You can have
True.
one on the East Coast, the West Coast, Texas, wherever. Like, it doesn't matter. That's the beauty of it, right? So then you could even just bounce between them all if you really wanted to do it.
That's a really good point. So, any of you looking to, where do you want to start? Maybe that's a good question to ask yourself. Where would I like to spend time at? Where would I like to vacation at? Where would I like to be? Because if I get multiple of these things, maybe I rent out some Airbnb and just live in whichever one I want, and go around and have
Mm-hmm.
plenty of income from the other ones, and it pays for everything and then above. I mean, what a good life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I don't see any other major questions here. You've been pretty generous with your time. We've gone a little over an hour here. Anyone that wants to check out Mike, he has a course and everything. He has templates. He has a really good TikTok following. There's his name there, Elefante6. He's on TikTok. You're on YouTube, right? Also?
Yep.
And where else? Twitter?
And Instagram. I'm on
Instagram?
Twitter. I just started on Twitter. I was like 10 years late to Twitter, but I just started one recently.
You know, I have had a Twitter account for years, but I just never use it because I didn't get it. And then all of a sudden, I found myself using Twitter a lot more as kind of my actual news feed, like getting information from different little. I'm like, oh, that's what Twitter is. Because I've never liked Facebook much, and I don't use Facebook. I'm literally, the other day I was on there for the first time in over a year.
Really?
I just kind of checked up on a few people. I'm like, all right, see you in a year. I'm done with this. TikTok,
Yeah,
TikTok's the best. TikTok is so fantastic, I think, and then YouTube. Those are by far the main
yeah,
two I use.
for sure.
Well, that's probably about it. I don't want to take up any more time. Mike's got his $1.5 million fifth or sixth property,
Number six.
sixth that they just closed on Monday, that they're
Got
putting
a box of
together.
furniture. So
Got all their furniture delivered. You work quick. And he talked about the stages he did it in too. When the closing gets set, they order some stuff, and then when it closes, they order some more stuff. And how long you think before you get this one listed and cash flowing?
the goal is probably a month from now. We should have it
Okay.
up and running before then.
Plus, it's a bigger property, so I'm guessing it takes longer than most, although you don't have the rehab issues.
It can. Yeah, no rehab. It's just furniture, and it depends on the lead time of some of that. I think our biggest lead time is like 3 weeks max, but that's like a 3 weeks. So we'll see. And then the permitting, we have to get a short-term rental permit, which last time I went through it here, it was only like a week. So I'll get that under rolling, and we should be good to go.
Any last things you want to leave the people with?
No, I mean, I would just say, like, don't be afraid to start. It can be overwhelming, but like literally anyone can do this. And I've worked with so many people who, I mean, it's life changing. You know, it really is. Like, one property could really change your whole trajectory in your life, and supplement a retirement if you're older. If you're younger, it could allow you to travel more. Like, whatever your goals are, whatever you enjoy doing, I think it can only enhance it. So the worst thing you can do is sit on the sideline.
For sure. For sure. Everybody check out Mike, Elefante6 on all the socials, here on TikTok, YouTube, probably the main ones. And he's got some good stuff that he offers over there too. So check him out. Mike, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stay on here a bit and talk a little crypto with you guys if you want, but we're going to let Mike get back to his project here.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Mike. Seriously.
Guys, appreciate it. See ya.
Nice meeting you, man. Talk to you later.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Good was that, right? How good was that? Just 2 years ago, he started doing this, just a regular guy working a corporate job, didn't have much money. He's learned things. He shared the arbitrage thing. I thought the arbitrage thing is very interesting because you really don't need much money to do that. Like, you basically just need the amount of money to get into a regular rental property, and you just position it as a corporate rental, because that's really what you're doing. You're a corporation and you're using the property for your corporation. Let's see here. Now, hey, what's up, James Barrett? Mike's gone. Now, I'm not an Airbnb expert. I'm not sure. Do you have an LLC per house? And that would have been a good question. My guess, I don't know. That would have been a good question. Again, check out Mike's channel. I'm sure he answers stuff like that. He's got a pretty decent following, so I don't know how much bandwidth, and he has obviously a very active business. I'm not sure how much bandwidth he has to answer questions, but he's got a course, he's got templates and stuff like that. I'm sure it goes through the LLC thing, because he has properties in multiple states, so I'm sure he does know the answer to that. Any crypto questions? I'm going to stand here for just a little bit for just some crypto questions to go back to that, since that is where my main expertise lies. I've been really looking, not James Barrett, I have really been thinking about getting a helium miner, because I think helium as a project, I'm feeling more and more bullish on. It's just making more and more sense. So I'm thinking about getting a helium miner, but I'm not sure what the supply demand is for helium miners in terms of how if I went to get one. I haven't looked into this, so I don't know. But I think getting the miner can take a minute, actually getting it. Other things that people have been looking at are like pocket nodes, POKT. Those are really interesting. I think there might be a wait list for those though. Thoughts on Solana? I like Solana. I want to look at layer ones in general, because you got to compare them to Ethereum, right? And it's not even, they're so much better in terms of the technology than Ethereum. That's something to throw in, to factor in. But the biggest thing to me is the network effects, which is, how many users does the network have? How many dApps are built on the network? How much interaction is there, right? Because was Facebook the best social media platform ever at the time? I don't know. But they gained enough users where they just became, you can't beat them because they're the category king. And to me, Ethereum's the category king. We have L1s trying to compete or supplement Ethereum, but now we have L2s growing like crazy, which are all part of Ethereum. So Ethereum is not just Ethereum. Ethereum's got other companies building other L2 chains to attach to Ethereum to fix and help the scaling and gas issues. So you got Ethereum and all these L2s now as one entity, basically competing against these other L1s. So I think for these other L1s like Solana and Avalanche and Phantom and stuff, I think they really got to get really good and dominate at one thing. Like Phantom, for example. Phantom to me is a very DeFi heavy chain, and to me it is by far the best DeFi ecosystem there is. So I think if Phantom, for instance, survives, it will be because they excel at DeFi. Can't hold network effects with unlimited blockchains. Yeah, you can. Because look at Facebook, for instance. If you're on Facebook, how many social media platforms came out like Facebook after Facebook that were better than Facebook, technically from a technological and user standpoint? Shitloads. But Facebook had gained so much momentum that there was just no overtaking it. And that to me is where we are at and have been at with Ethereum. So to me, it is Friendster was actually before Facebook, but Facebook overtook Friendster. Actually, Friendster might have been before MySpace. And then it's just, if you're going to overtake something, you have to do it in such a different way where people will go through that pain of leaving this place to go to that place and learn it. Facebook is dying. I'm just using it as an example, as a previous thing, because we can only look to the past to have our best guesses at the future. And typically, when people start using something, it takes a lot to get them to move from that thing to use something else. Like Facebook sucks. So, the younger generation is like, oh, my parents and my grandparents are on Facebook. I don't want to use Facebook. I'll go, oh, what's Instagram? I'll use that. And now, my parents and my grandparents are on Instagram. What else can I use? Oh, Snapchat. Okay, that's pretty cool. They're doing something different. And then TikTok here. And TikTok's just something completely different than all these other social media platforms. And YouTube is just its own thing. Like, that's not, I don't know if I don't consider YouTube a social media platform. I mean, it is, I guess. It definitely is. Definitely is, because it's media, for sure. But it's just so different than everything else. And I don't see anything overtaking YouTube. I would love to see a decentralized version of all this stuff, where people own their own data and actually own part of the network, users own part of the network. I would love to see that, but that'd be a little ways away. Even though it's better, it'll take a long time for something like that to develop and for enough people to migrate over to that. It just takes time. It takes adoption. The use case can be easily duplicated, but network effects can't, right? When people are using it, like, someone might build a better iPhone, but I'm not going to leave the iPhone because the iPhone does more than I already need it to do, and I'm very used to it, and it's got a lot of good stuff. So good luck getting me off this horse. You might come up with a better product, but I don't know. It's going to be hard to get me to move. Thoughts on Hex? I don't have massive thoughts on Hex. I don't know enough about Hex. I know I wish I would have got in at the beginning. I know that much. But its market cap is so big, and I don't know what its real use is. And I'm just so focused on utility, on use, that I just, Now, I'm not saying not poo-pooing Hex. I'm just saying I think I've missed the boat, and there's more opportunity than any one person can take. So I think Hex is something. Although I did get in on Pulse Chain, I did do the sacrifice for that. So whenever that comes through, I'll be getting my Pulse Chain. Networks get split endless ways, can't extract profit from that long term. I'm not 100% what you're saying, Alpha. Not that I'm disagreeing with you. I'm just not 100% what you're saying. By the way, did you guys like having guests on? Is something new I'm doing. I had a person yesterday who was an NFT and stock options expert, although we didn't get into stock options much. And now I had an Airbnb person on. Are you guys liking this? Did you enjoy hearing Mike go through this? Because he's a real expert at what he does. Did you guys enjoy that, or do you just want just crypto? Let me know. Like, really give me some comments here. Let me know. Because I'm trying to steer this thing to what benefits you the most, and I can't do it without knowing what your thoughts are. Your real thoughts, not your, if you have some, not your trolly shit-talking thoughts. Like, real constructive stuff. Like, give me your real feedback. Let's see, can't extract, based on gas costs and liquidity, 99% of tokens disappear. Based on gas costs and liquidity, 99% of tokens disappear. Predictions on whether we've entered a long-term bear market or not. I'm still not 100% of what's going to happen there, because that's one thing about crypto is you just never know. Have we entered crypto winter? This is certainly one of the longest dips we've been in, whatever you want to call it, bear market, dip, winter, whatever you want to call it. So I posted a video on my TikTok page today about 3 bear market strategies that I'm using, one of which is incrementally accumulating, buying blue chip cryptos. Ethereum's obviously at the top of my list, then Bitcoin, then XRP. Those are the top 3 for me. And so that was one strategy. And again, I do a lot of crypto trading, right? So whether the market goes up or down, I don't have to spend new money. I just use the crypto I already have. and I trade with that crypto to accumulate more crypto. That's what trading is. And you can do that when the market goes up, and what blows your mind is when it goes down, right? Because the other day I did an Ethereum trade and I made 20% on my Ethereum when the price went down. I accumulated 20% more of my Ethereum that I had in the trade anyways. So if I started with one Ethereum at, 2,700, when it went down to 2,500, I now had like 1.2 Ethereum. If you're interested in learning how to do that stuff, I have a free masterclass that teaches you how to do that. The link is in my TikTok bio. And I will be reposting this on YouTube, by the way, on my YouTube channel, which is also Daily Crypto Bull. I will be posting this live stream. So if you want to watch Mike talk about Airbnb again, I will be posting this on my YouTube. And the link for my YouTube is also in my TikTok bio. And if this is after I reposted it and you're on YouTube, look in the description. That's where the links are. Tokens will remain only at their cost to create. Alpha, are you talking about Hex? Thoughts on Cardano? I don't have any Cardano. I sold most of my Cardano at $3. I don't know. They've been underwhelming since they actually launched, in my opinion. Does that predict their future? No, but it's been underwhelming to me. So, when push comes to shove, Ethereum is my main focus. Accumulating all the Ethereum I can, because I really strongly think Ethereum will be worth like $100,000 per token in the next 10 years because of all the things they're doing and the growth and adoption, obviously, of crypto and Ethereum in general, but because of things like the triple halvening, which is the merge, the whole ETH 2.0 thing. Because, so currently Ethereum is a proof of work, so it gets mined every day like Bitcoin does. So that's how new Ethereum comes into existence, is it gets mined every day, which is by, computer, graphics cards really, but mining rigs. And Alpha, I do have basis to that. Let me get into it, bud. You got to be careful of your own biases, because I have a case to be made. Am I saying I'm 100% right? But I have a case. You do well to hear me out. So currently, I don't know how much Ethereum is mined today. I think it's like 12,000 some Ethereum mined a day. So when EIP 1559 came in, that started burning Ethereum after every transaction, which there are days when there is more Ethereum that gets burned in a day than gets mined, which means those are deflationary days, and there's only going to be so much Ethereum ever. So once they actually do the full ETH 2.0, essentially the merge, which is part of ETH 2.0, is what the thing people talk about with ETH 2.0 is the merge of the beacon chain and the whatever the other chain's called. There will be an equivalent of a triple halvening, which means that whatever, say there's 12,000 Ethereum mined a day today, that will go down 6,000, 3,000, 1,500. So that means that like only 1,500 in this case, in this example I'm using, that's how many Ethereum would be mined a day. And then there's still, with the burn rate and the decrease moving from proof of stake. So that is the supply that goes way the hell down. And then the demand has only been going up, and I expect that to continue because it's only continued up the entire existence of Ethereum. And with crypto growing, again, going up and to the right, its entire existence, it just makes sense that the supply and the demand keep getting like this and this and this and this, and we haven't even hit mainstream yet. Once we hit mainstream, which is basically when we get to 1 billion crypto users, again, things are still so early that it's not very user-friendly, so we're not there yet. But that's why I say 10 years, I say that pretty conservatively. In reality, not that I think Ethereum's going to get to 100,000 in like 2 years or something, but within the next 10 years, that seems actually pretty likely to me based on the trajectory of the supply and then the decrease in the demand, trajectory of the demand and decrease in the supply. That's just kind of my price point, where I think it's going to go. And so when I buy things and I accumulate, thank you for all the roses, Hakuna Matata. That is when I buy like today, 2,600, I'm like, what a deal, because I expect it to get, if you think long enough term out, your chances of winning are much, much higher. And do you guys understand how big NFTs are? Like, I don't mean JPEGs, I don't mean profile pictures. NFT, the technology, the ability to have a digital asset. And what I mean by that is it has verifiable authenticity and ownership. That's what NFT is. And everything off-chain is going to at least have an on-chain digital asset NFT component, a verifiable authenticity and ownership NFT. It doesn't mean it's going to be a picture. It's just going to be recorded on the blockchain. Because all the blockchain is here, you know what? Here's what, do you want to hear what the blockchain really is? What it is. I'm going to tell you in like a sentence what the blockchain really is in a very simple way, but yet very accurate way. Listen. Blockchain is literally a digital spreadsheet. That's what blockchain is. That cannot be altered. That's what it is. But it can be transacted on. So you can transfer ownership. That's all the blockchain is. It's literally a spreadsheet that can't be altered, but can be transacted on. That's all it is. That is all the blockchain is. Which doesn't minimize it, just simplifies it. And then what you do with those components is what's really fun. What you create on it. Because it's trustless. You don't need trust, and it can't be manipulated. You can have 100% trust in everything on the blockchain because it's 100% verifiable and cannot be altered. Yeah, and there's really, I mean, when the internet came out, it's a concept. It's like, oh, what is the internet? The ability to share information digitally. That's it. And so, okay, well, what do we do with this? Because that's the technology. So what do we do with it? Everything we see today, and then everything we see in the future. So it's something simple, but it's a function that can be expanded upon. And again, when I say that blockchain is just a spreadsheet that can be transacted on and never altered, that's what it is. And yeah, no one owns it. You can own things, but you can't own it. Well, when you own Ethereum, Bitcoin, you do own it. That's what's so beautiful about buying this, because if you could buy shares of the internet, you would have done that. But you can't buy shares of the internet, right? But you can buy shares of Ethereum, because the internet things are getting built on Ethereum, just like things are built on the internet. Amazon's built on the internet. Facebook's built on top of the internet. All these things are getting built on top of Ethereum. Ethereum is the new internet. With that being said, I'm also very bullish on layer zeros, mostly Polkadot and Cosmos, because they're layer zeros, which means on Ethereum, you can build dApps, like you can build websites. But a layer zero, you can build internets on, ecosystems on. Like Terra Luna is built on top of, Terra Luna is a layer one. It's built on top of Cosmos, which is a layer zero. And that's what Polkadot also is too. You can build layer one blockchains, which are much more robust than a dApp. Like Uniswap is a dApp, right? It does what it does. It's very specific. But Ethereum is a layer one, and you can build dApps on those. But on layer zeros, you can build layer ones on top of. Yes, and thousands will exist. Alpha, are we still talking about the number of layer ones that will exist? I mean, if I go start a layer one today, does that matter? Does that mean that I get any market share? Does that mean that any Ethereum users care about me because I have a layer one? Maybe I create 100 of them. Does that mean any of them get any users? No. To get people to move from what they already know, which Ethereum is the big one. And when new people come in, they go, okay, which one do people use? Oh, they use Ethereum? Okay, I'm going to use Ethereum. And that's the one that's most developed and has the most on and is the most evolved. So, I'm not I'm not a maxi of any chain. I just look at the numbers, and Ethereum it has such big adoption. Could it be overtaken? Sure. I don't know what that looks like, but it's certainly going to get bigger than it is today. Significantly bigger. I don't want to entice people to move. Oh yeah, if you're a layer one and you want people to move to your chain, yeah. But I think the way to do that is that you have to do one thing really, really well that makes me go through the pain of the inconvenience of moving over to your chain. Just incorporating your chain into my MetaMask wallet is inconvenient. Why should I do that? Give me a reason. I better have a pretty good reason to do that, because that's just the reality of who we are as humans. So the cost and liquidity is, so like Phantom, like I was saying before, Phantom is like very good at DeFi. To me, Phantom is the best overall DeFi ecosystem in my opinion. I think the most blue chip projects in DeFi are on Ethereum, namely say Uniswap and Curve and Aave. But even those ones, especially Aave and Curve, are expanding to incorporate into other chains. So those are projects, dApps, I guess, that are going multi-chain. In reality, I don't know what the interoperability future looks like, but interoperability is a subject that will be solved too, so that lots of times you won't even know what chain you're on, and it probably won't even matter eventually. Because right now things are so, you got to have a decent amount of techie in you to use crypto. If you guys are here right now, you are in a very small percentage of people on the planet. By far, most people that came in here to make money, which is totally fine, they're gone because they didn't learn anything here, and they're going to miss out so big. Not because, we'll show them. It's like, no, you don't understand what you were involved in. If you're here right now, you understand what you're involved in. You understand this is only going up. This is only going to get more and more adopted. You understand it. Most people don't. Even though they're bullish on crypto, they're just bullish on making money, which is fine. But they get confused. They don't actually know enough. And when I first got into crypto, I made that mistake. I got in 2017, and I bought, and thought I was all a crypto bull. And then in December 2018, when the market hit its bottom, I was like, shit's done. Like, I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Plus, there was literally nothing to use on the blockchain in 2017, 2018. Nothing to use. There was no DeFi. There were no NFTs. There were no game. There was nothing to use. It was just coins and promises of potential and things that were getting built. So yeah. So this is the first iteration of having anything to even actually use in crypto this time around. And it's just going to get better and better. And more of it, to me, if I had to focus on one thing, this was the third thing I talked about. Well, two things. I talked about the 3 strategies. I posted a video today on TikTok about 3 strategies in a bear market. One was accumulating the blue chips incrementally as price goes down. And that's a long-term thing. In the short term and long term, I have a lot of stable coins. I don't really have cash. Not much at all. I put as much money as I can into stable coins and put it somewhere where it gets a good interest rate. I currently get 9% interest on my stable coins, which are always worth $1. Would you like 9% on your stable coins? Especially since you don't need to lock them or stake them or anything like that. You can just sell it, move it, whatever you want, whenever you want, but you still get 9%. As long as you leave it there, but you can take it out whenever you want, no fees, no penalties. So I use Voyager. There's a link for it. In my TikTok bio, there's a link for it, but you do gotta be an American citizen. They're expanding to Europe this year though. And I get 9% on my USDC coin. And that's like the top stable coin. Always worth $1. I'm getting 9%. Use the link in my bio. Check that out. Plus, if you use that link, it is my referral link. Because you use someone's referral link, you'll get $25 in free Bitcoin also when you deposit or trade $100, I believe, which is like nothing. Pay income tax on stable coins. Yeah, you would pay income tax on because it would be capital gains, but only if I withdraw them or sell the rewards, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm not a tax professional. But listen, don't be worried about taxes, in my opinion, because you're only paying taxes on profits. So if you're afraid of taxes and you talk yourself saying, well, I don't want profits because I don't want to pay taxes, that's a weird game. Not saying that's what you're doing, but some people are confused like that. But no, because stablecoins are always worth $1. So if you just have stablecoins, you don't pay taxes on that. But the gains you make, that interest that you make, that 9%, you talk to a tax professional. I'm not, but I'd assume, yeah, you pay on that. But I think only when you sell it, because then it's a gain, and you pay capital gains tax, and it's not a gain until you sell it. Because USDC coin, even though it's a stable coin, always worth $1, it's still not $1. It's a stable coin. What's up, Crypto Cameron? I'm doing good. But yeah, all gains of any kind are taxable, as long as you capitalize on them, right? Just because I have, say, Apple stock and it goes up in price, like I'm not paying capital gains on that unless I sell it. Same thing with crypto. So for crypto has an interesting loop where if your crypto goes down from where you bought it, you can sell it and buy it right back and claim the loss. Isn't that funny? That loophole is going to get filled eventually, but use it while you can. It's legal. From what I understand. Not a tax expert, do your own research. How much gains would 100K make a year on 9%? So you'd make $9,000 a year on that 100K. If you put your savings in Voyager stablecoin, is there a chance they could fold? They're a publicly traded company. I mean, there's a chance Apple could fold. So I can't say 100% no, but it seems extremely unlikely. Plus, they do have insurance policies backing your money that's on their site. So Voyager to me is as safe as it comes. That and Coinbase are as safe as it comes. It's not some decentralized DEX. It's a publicly traded company. But again, be sure to use the link in my bio. Right? You'll click the link in my bio and it'll take you to a page. There'll be a link on that page that'll bring you over to Voyager, but it's only available in the States. Be sure to use my link. Again, it's my referral link, but nonetheless, be sure to use it because you'll get $25 in free Bitcoin when you deposit or trade just $100. And then you can just, like for me, anything that I don't have in crypto, to me, cash is trash. So I try to have as little cash as possible. Like why? Only when I need to buy things out here in the real world. I try to put as much as I can into interest-bearing, passive income producing assets. And if I can put my cash in Voyager and get 9%, that's amazing. Because you can't find that in the traditional finance world, like not even close. If you take $100,000 and lock it up on a 5-year CD at my bank, US Bank, you get a whopping 0.29% on a 5-year locked CD on $100,000. That's the best thing they offer. I can put it in Voyager. It's not locked. It's not staked. I can move it, sell it, do whatever I want with it. But I'm getting 9% interest on my balance. And there's no fees for anything. And I can sell my stable coin and buy my stable coin 1-to-1. Like I don't pay fees. That's another thing about Voyager. Even with cryptos, you buy and sell and there's no fees. Unlike Coinbase. Coinbase charges fees. So if I'm going to go buy $1,000 of Ethereum, I get more Ethereum when I buy it on Voyager than I do on Coinbase for my same $1,000. Significantly. By like 1-2%. Accidental alpha. How much gains would one? Yeah. Any other questions? I'm probably going to pop off pretty soon. I've been on this live stream for about 2 hours now. We had Mike Elefante on here, Elefante6 here on TikTok. talking about Airbnb. I really hope you guys appreciate it. I didn't see any feedback though. Were you guys on here while he was on here? I really want your feedback. Did you like having a guest on here? Did you like that? Did you like having someone on like that, giving, basically his investment knowledge, expertise in his particular niche? Did you like having people on like that? So Neil says something. Voyager is a no-go for me. Can't get some of my coins out. Gross. Neil, I understand what you're saying, but you can buy and sell your coins, and you can move many of the coins out of there, right? Typically what I do, if I'm in Voyager, I'll typically sell my coin and buy Cardano, because Cardano is super cheap to send out of Voyager. But you could always just sell your coin too, if that's what you're looking to cash out. Sell it into cash and get it turn it into USDC coin and get your interest, which is what I do. Or you can have it withdrawn to your bank account. Like that Voyager doesn't allow some coins to get sent out of Voyager, to me it's just not a problem. You can send Ethereum out, you can send Bitcoin out, you can send a lot of them out. But it's not my all-encompassing only thing that I use either, right? It's the main thing I use. But to avoid, did I mention that Voyager gives you interest on your crypto too? Like I get almost like 4.6% interest on my Ethereum. So every single month, on the first of every month, I get my interest payment on Ethereum paid to me, and it's paid to me in Ethereum. Same thing with Bitcoin, same thing with Polkadot, same thing with Cardano, same thing with a lot of coins on there. Like, guys, Neil, I really would encourage you to reconsider Voyager, really. But you do you. Yeah, I don't even think that's that hot of a take, Neil. NFTs with actual utility, which is a really good point to make, will outperform alts in 2022. Yeah, I think that's absolutely. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that looks very possible. Yeah, I don't know why Voyager doesn't do that either. I think that they just, because of network issues, I don't think they have the infrastructure to, custody all of that. So some of those things just represent crypto, and you can receive crypto. You can receive all the cryptos if you send them to there, but you can't withdraw some. But there are very easy workarounds if you run into that issue. But again, most things that I have on Voyager, I don't plan on taking off of there because I have them on there because they pay me interest. Like my USDC coin, my stable, pays me 9%. And again, not that I'm special, that's what you'll get too. And I get interest on Ethereum, paid to me in Ethereum. Same thing with Bitcoin, same thing with Polkadot, same thing with Cardano, same thing with Atom, same thing with all kinds of coins on there. I'm getting interest. Coinbase isn't paying me interest. Voyager is just as safe as Coinbase, but cheaper too, because there's no fees when you buy and sell. So when I buy $1,000 of Bitcoin or sell $1,000 of Bitcoin, I get more Bitcoin for my 1,000, and I get more money for my Bitcoin when I sell it than I do on Coinbase. So Voyager just is a lot better than Coinbase to me. UST on Anchor at 19. Well, Neil, yeah, sure, but yes, I agree, and I have money in that too, for sure. But it's harder to use for a lot of people. It's not as easy. Like step one, get into Voyager, right? That's what I tell most people, because it's just such an easy move. It's as simple as downloading an app. Anchor protocol is not as easy. Like that's actual DeFi, and I think anyone can do it, but I think most people won't do it. And I want people to at least do something. And because of where we're at, most people, as far as they'll go, is downloading an app. And in reality, you can get more on your stables if you are more active and use different protocols. But again, even Anchor is more risky than Voyager. Not that I think Anchor's real risky. It's just the fact is it's a DeFi protocol. It's not a publicly traded company with a big insurance policy in case something happens to your stuff, which is what Voyager has. So Voyager is safer than Anchor. But I agree with you. I don't have all my stable in Anchor, but I do have a good portion of it, and then I have the rest in Voyager. Yeah, you know what's crazy too is Phantom. Luna not being on more central exchanges, I agree. It's on a good number of them though, but Phantom isn't. Phantom isn't on Coinbase, and I still have no idea why, which is, I'm really, really bullish on Phantom. And for instance, when Phantom finally gets listed on Coinbase, which will eventually happen, that's going to send it, that's going to give it a nice little bump, we'll say that. But to me, Phantom is definitely my favorite DeFi ecosystem. I'm going to pop off here in a second. Any last comments or questions, or you guys have any suggestions for future live streams? Guests to contact, topics to cover, anything for future live streams? Well, I can't blame Coinbase for loving ERC20 tokens. I mean, that is Ethereum. And if I'm going to pick one, Ethereum, no doubt. Algo seems like it's got a promising future to me, but I can't say I know enough about its roadmap. I have a little Algo, but that was kind of an 8-buy. Be sure to watch my TikTok video I put up today. 3 bear market strategies. One of mine, I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it's probably the most fun. So maybe it is my favorite, but it's the most fun. Is I'm really keeping my eye on, Neil, this goes to you, NFTs with utility. I have my eye focused on very high quality, very promising gaming NFTs. The main 2 that I'm looking at, Mirandus and Big Time. Mirandus and Big Time. Those are my 2 main ones. Algo could be a top 10. That could definitely happen. The top 10 is pretty interchangeable. I mean, especially the, bottom 5. But gaming NFTs, like for instance on Mirandus is a whole world. It's an MMORPG. What does that stand for? Massive multiplayer online role-playing game. Now, I'm not a gamer, but I've been learning a lot about games for a while now because I totally see where this is going, in my opinion, not financial advice. So Mirandus is a whole world. It's a whole, think of it like World of Warcraft, Fortnite, a whole world. I don't want to quite call it a metaverse because you're not going to be in it like Ready Player One style. We're just not to that yet, and it's going to be a while before we really get into that. I think that's going to be over 10 years away, that kind of form of it. But Mirandus looks like a fantastic game. It's made by Gala, which is probably, Gala and Animoca brands are the 2 main gaming companies that I pay attention to in crypto, for sure. Anyways, Mirandus, say for instance, I own a dock. I can own a dock. Like, think in the real world, if you own a dock, boats use your dock and they pay you money to use it, right? But there's maintenance costs, all that stuff. Well, in Mirandus, I can own a dock, and there's only so many docks in the world, in the Mirandus world, and there will never be any more. And boats use those docks because boats are something people use a lot. Again, there's only so many boats and ships in Mirandus that will ever be too. You can also own those as NFTs. But these boats will have docking fees for coming in and going out. And if I own a dock, while I'm sleeping, players of Mirandus will be using my dock and paying me a fee while I sleep. Income producing assets. These gaming NFTs, sure, you can get them to go up in value, but if you focus on the income producing side of them, I think that's where the real freedom and wealth is built, right? Just like we had Michael on here talking about Airbnb properties. And it's not so much about, sure, his properties have went up in value in the past couple years, for sure, but that he doesn't really care about that. What he cares about is the cash flow. And if you can have these NFTs, these gaming NFTs that are cash flowing, that's where your real freedom comes in. Because now you have money coming in, day out. Yeah, and it's something that, like, if it appreciates, cool, but you're not selling it. If anything, you'll get a loan against it to buy more properties, more income producing assets. And that's what Michael did. His properties went up in value. He has no interest in selling any of them, or no plans to, because if he sells them, they don't produce cash flow anymore, and he pays taxes on the gains from selling. So what he does is he gets a loan against the equity on his properties, and he uses that money to buy other properties. And since he's getting money as a loan, that's not taxable. That's actually deductible. And you take that money and go buy other properties, and you don't pay taxes on buying those properties. You just keep repeating the process. Neil? What trilemma? What is the trilemma? By the way, I will be posting the replay of this whole live stream on my YouTube channel, Daily Crypto Bull. You hit the little play button in my TikTok bio. That will take you to the YouTube channel. Or you can just go to YouTube and search Daily Crypto Bull, and my channel will pop up. But Neil, what's the trilemma? I'm interested, because I don't know what that is. What is it? Maybe Neil left. I don't know. Anyone got any last crypto questions? I'm going to pop off in a second. Or thoughts to share, any new projects you've come across? Any new games? Crypto games? All right. LUC, Raphael, what is LUC? Can you tell us about it? Lucretius, can you tell us about the project? By the way, be sure to watch my YouTube channel. Everybody, there's a lot of good stuff on there that I can't do on TikTok because it's short form content. A lot of good education on a lot of good resources to make money on the YouTube channel. So check that out. And again, this replay will be on there. Oh, it's a metaverse. Okay. So interesting. Now, there's a lot of things that have been built being metaverse. What would you say makes LUC as a metaverse unique or stand out? What's gonna give it? What's gonna attract people to it? I'm out of coffee. Been at work. Why BTC pump? My guess to why Bitcoin in the market has went up. I haven't looked at the stock market, but I'm guessing the stock market ticked up a bit too, specifically the NASDAQ. I think it has to do with, I think Powell, the Fed chairman, I think he's going to be saying something tomorrow or today or tomorrow. I think it has something to do with the Fed and interest rates and blah, blah, blah. I think it has something to do with that. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. I just know the correlation that if this happened, something happened that made people want to spend a little bit more money on it. The question is, what was it? And I think it has to do with the Fed and interest rates and whatever, because I think Powell's going to talk today or tomorrow, and I think it probably has something to do with that. But where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to be in 10 years? 5 years? 3 years? I usually like to think at least 4 years out, because that's how long the Bitcoin halvening cycles are. Do you know what the Bitcoin halvening is? If you don't, you must. Every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that can be mined a day gets cut in half. Right now, we mine 900 Bitcoin a day. In March 2024, it will go down to 450. So that's a massive supply shock overnight. And demand for this stuff has just been going up and up and up, and that's going to keep happening. Demand is going to keep going up. Sure, it's going to go up, down, but overall it's going up and to the right. Because that's what it's done literally every moment of its existence. It has never deviated from that in almost 13 years now. straight. What's up, Beard? Do you have like in real life, do you have like a real beard? I always wondered how the hell to grow something like that. I feel like that would be very difficult. I mean, I've had, beard, but the whole thing, like, that seems hard. It seems hard to do. Y'all heard of any good projects lately? Huh? Any good projects? Any good stuff to find out about? Some good alpha? Do you guys know what alpha means? I hear people talk about it all the time, and I finally looked it up the other day because I'm like, what? I understood it means some good returns, but I'm like, what exactly does alpha mean? And it's for alpha returns, so it's like egregious returns, like getting into Ethereum at $11. My brother got into Ethereum at $11. $11. And he sold it at 22. God. And I got in at 174. I didn't sell it all. Sold some. Mostly to buy other crypto assets. I bought packs of Gods Unchained. If you're familiar with that game. It just made sense to me that I'm like, yeah, these games going on blockchain, you actually own these cards. That's interesting. I can actually sell them. That's interesting. Ethereum seems to keep going down. I don't know when it's going to stop. I see this game thing as being bullish, so I bought Gods Unchained. And those cards are worth certainly more than I bought them for. But what was really good about that is last year and this year, I got multiple airdrops from Gods Unchained of the Gods Unchained token. Gods is their token. Airdrops, because I had Genesis cards, which were the first edition, the first thing, those packs I bought. And I got like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of airdrop. It's fantastic. So the Ethereum I sold, I used to buy those packs. It's probably about what the Ethereum would be worth. I actually wish I would have sold more of my gods because it got up to a high of $9, and I sold a good amount of it at $7, $8, $9. Because it got listed on Coinbase and it went up like crazy for a day. And I know when things get listed on Coinbase, sell them. Especially something like that. I'm gonna pick my nose. There we go. Do you consider that picking nose? Like, is this picking your nose? To me, it's not. It's just kind of itching your nose. You stick your finger up there, that's picking your nose, right? That's my opinion. My opinion. Hot take. Hot take. If you guys don't have, by the way, I created some shirts, some crypto shirts. I think they're pretty cool. I just made them, right? So I created them and I ordered some for myself. I ordered some for myself. So I just made them. So they're on their way. I'll be showing some of those, but go check out my crypto t-shirt site. Click the link in my bio. You'll find it. Let me know what you think of them. I think they're cool. I'm going to be adding more. And I think they're a pretty good price. They're only like $25, but they're cool. They're super cool. I think they're super cool. Like me and a designer made them, In one in particular is this, you guys know Pink Floyd, the Dark Side of the Moon album, cover art. We used it, and we had, instead of the moon or whatever the prism was, we used Ethereum. That's my favorite one. So I can't wait for that one to show up. I will be posting this replay, the replay of this live stream, on my YouTube channel. Check out my YouTube channel. Play button in bio. The channel's name is Daily Crypto Bull. I'm Daily Crypto Bull on all the socials. Not Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. F Facebook. I hate Facebook. Hate them. Hate Facebook. Some days, if there's no other joy in the world, I know that Facebook is dying, and that brings me joy. Seriously. Oh, I just love it. You gotta take your wins. I don't use Instagram too much, but I'm Daily Crypto Bull on there too. Mostly TikTok and YouTube, and some on Twitter. Beard of Treasures about finding the joy in Facebook dying. Mwah, mwah. Oh, I hate them. I hate them so much. I do not like Facebook. Zuck. Not that I love the Winklevoss twins. I don't know if that has anything to do with it anyways. And Meta. Meta ain't gonna make it. Meta ain't gonna make it. Meta ain't gonna make it. No. Maybe it will somewhat. I mean, 3 billion users. But it's not going to be some dominant force. No way, no how. Well, not really much for comments or questions or inputs. Be sure to watch this replay. If you guys weren't on here, we had an Airbnb investor on here who's only been doing it for 2 years, but he's very financially free now. Started just he's 29, so he would have been like 27 when he started, and just a regular guy, graduated college, regular corporate job, hated his corporate job, figured out how to do Airbnb, and on the live stream today, he was actually in his 6th property. He just closed on it on Monday, and he dropped massive gold the entire process. And he charges $400 for an hour consultation. We had him on here for a little over an hour and just asked him every question imaginable. I will be it was on this live stream. I will be reposting the replay of this live stream. I'll be posting it on the YouTube channel, Daily Crypto Bull, of course. Check out the resources in my TikTok bio if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description. Good stuff over there. I have a free masterclass that teaches you how to accumulate Bitcoin and Ethereum even when the price goes down without spending a cent. It's trading. Teach you how to trade, a strategy that really works. Some other good resources over there too. How to get 9% interest on your stable coins. Now's a good time to be in stable coins, that's for sure. What else is over there? Just go check it out. Got this t-shirt site now with some good designs. Check them out. Let me know what you think. I like them. I think they're only like $25, so pretty good deal and good quality. I don't know. Check out the TikTok video I put up today too, because I went over 3 strategies in a bear market strategies. I don't know. I think I'm done. I think that's it. Y'all are awesome. Thanks for being on here. I will be posting the replay on YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow. I think I'm going to start doing a live stream probably about noon. I think I'm going to start doing a live stream about noon every day, Monday through Friday, because because these live streams are the best way that I love interacting with y'all like this. And I think it's best for me, best for you, best for everybody, these live streams. Plus, we get all of you guys coming in here and you share different projects you're looking at, and we just get a lot of exposure. Okay. But, check out my shirts. Seriously, I want to know, because I just made them. I want to know what people think. I think they're cool, but maybe I'm crazy. I gotta be biased, but I think they're cool. Like, I'd buy them. I've ordered some for myself. I'm going to be wearing them whenever they get here. And watch the free masterclass. Like, for real, trading is the most powerful way to accumulate crypto, and that's the name of the game. I mean, that's what whales do. That's what smart money does. It's all about accumulation. And if you can accumulate crap loads of it without spending any money, which is what trading allows you to do, you want to at least look into it, right? Free masterclass. Check it out. Link in bio. Thank you for being on here. You guys are awesome. I will see you tomorrow. Kenneth, get a t-shirt.